All right, let's do a cheers to the Sobeys and Safeway Liquid Beer of the Week podcast.
We ride again.
I love you guys.
Careful, that cake's hot.
Check-in, come on, let's go. It's the AM Nasty Big Hello. It's not static, AM radio. It's the Coolbet Red Hot Nielson Show. Let's go. Everybody's tuning in, even my wife.
Mommy likes too.
And those Macromella intros are cutting like a knife. Hey, it's Mitch texting in, he's your dealer for life. Let's crack a 6 o'clock and lager with some sirloin bites.
A happy Thursday morning to you. This is the Nielson Show on EdmontonSportsTalk.com, the iHeart TuneIn radio apps, and as well on YouTube. And we thank YouTube Trev for the conch. Of course, behind the monitors this morning, Lieutenant Eric Joaquin Gage as well in for Dustin Nielson this week. Dusty had the call last night. Canada squeaking one out, much like this morning's conch against Sweden, 2-1 your final, as Canada advancing to the semis of the Hlinka Gretzky. We'll have more on that coming up later in the show. Want to let you know the Nielsen Show, proud presenting sponsor, South Fort Chevrolet. And get this, we have something new. Keep talking about Daniel from South Fort Chevrolet. How about Claire? Save up to $12,000 on a new Tahoe or Suburban. Excellent stock available. And Claire says, I can personally vouch for the Tahoe. Perfect for skiing, hockey, and accommodating all the car seats and strollers. Truly the best vehicle for a family. You can also save up to $14,000 on Silverado 1500s and HDs. www.southfortchev.com. Check them out today in Fort Saskatchewan. Tell them EST sent you. Your go-to dealer for Silverado 1500s and heavy duties. And as mentioned, the Tahoes and Suburbans. We are coming to you live as well from the Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen Studios. Get those boneless wings today, or the bone-in wings, whatever floats your boat. Honey garlic signature hot, honey barbecue garlic parmesan, as well as the traditional classic. Visit a Popeyes today. Nasty chats, Hammond, if you are watching this morning on YouTube, hit that like, hit that sub. The quest for 10,000 subs continues as we are still sitting at that 9.61K. So hit the sub if you haven't already. If you are new, if you know people who used to listen to the show and don't know about us yet, kindly pass it along. No billboards will be erected anytime soon, but it is word of the mouth here on Edmonton Sports Talk and the Nielsen Show. So hit the like, nasty chats humming. I see a lot of familiar faces. A couple of people are a little bad yesterday, maybe, and YouTube Trev smacking down the discipline. Hopefully they've learned their lesson for this morning as well. But Joaquin Gage, what's going on? How you doing? Hlinka Gretzky, a little of that last night, a little of this, a little of that.
Yeah, no, I got a fair dose of Gretzky Hlinka last night. Just,
Yep.
I was interested to see the U.S. team go up against Germany. Not much of a game.
No,
but
Germany wasn't too interested
no,
in that.
I don't think they were at all. But to hear our friend Dustin Nielson and Craig Button announcing the game when it kind of got out of hand and became more of a baseball themed.
He does
kinda,
football. He
yeah.
can do hockey, but now it's baseball.
It
that he's
was
adding into.
they went into this whole like traveling the East Coast, and at one point Craig had, I think, in commercial breaks set up a time for Dusty to get out to Halifax and enjoy a Mooseheads game, I think, or something like that. So I even tweeted it out. I thought this whole travel show with those two was amazing. Go those two in an RV going across Canada. I think there's something there.
Them in an RV followed by Matt Dunnigan grilling or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
That's an hour. Like you can take up the steel log cutting championships and just give me that. Paris Jewelers inbox as well this morning. If you want to get in, 780-218-9999. Of course, we all know the good people and the good folks down at PJ's, family owned and operated, 22 stores, 4 provinces across Canada. You can check them out today. www.parisjewelers.com. Maybe you want to get a little bit of a jewelry to remember the Helenka Gretzky tournament that was summer of 2024, right? Like a pendant or something to commemorate the times. But Paris Jewelers will be able to help you out. 780-218-9999 is the number to text. I want to get to this from Sask River Pirate. 12:23 a.m. Can I get a conch for Westside Dougie having a time at the Saskatoon X? YouTube Trev, you and I talked about these legends of your hometown type of thing. You know, the one guy that you always kind of see that almost exists like a cockroach. Should have been dead about 5 times, but he's still there every time you go back and visit. That's Westside Dougie for Saskatoonians. I got to see him last week, and now Sask River Pirates seeing him at the X, which was
oh, no way.
It's really nice. That just warms me up as well. But
Who was the one guy on the corner always dancing around? You don't see him anymore in Edmonton. What was his name? Dancing Dave?
Dancing Dan, Dave,
Dancing Dan or something?
Donnie.
Yeah, all
Ask me,
over.
Chat, you'll correct
help
us
out
here.
with
But
that.
yeah, I mean, and it sucks because you don't have any contact. They're just gone, so you hope
Yeah,
for the best. But
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it was funny. I loved the amount of times I'd hit a red light and look over, and he'd kind of be just grooving.
You're having a bad day. You're stuck in traffic. You're like, he's having a good time. Is that the guy for you, though, when it comes to Edmonton? And then, like, the type of, as we're saying, like a mascot unofficially?
Yeah, well, I mean, being in Europe for the amount of years I was in smaller towns, there's always the kind of, the lack of a better term, the village drunk. You know, he's sitting there. That's he's a little kooky.
Yeah, but harmless.
Harmless.
Yeah.
Everyone knows him.
Yeah.
He comes into certain restaurants once in a while, gets a slice or a coffee and stuff, and everyone says hi. And he has his weird views, I guess. I could never understand it, whatever. But so it was fine. But yeah, everyone loved him. That small town jester.
Jester. Yeah, I like the Jester.
Yeah.
There's a few. I mean, the push-up guy here, I don't know if you'd really classify him into that category, but certainly some sort of mascot. You know, like his arms are getting a little... the last time I saw him, I think he was trying to do the one arm, and it wasn't really a push-up.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it was more head bobs when I saw him. I remember him sitting outside of bars, like, and just
cleaning up.
Well, he would be cleaning up. He would, and you get the drunk young guys trying to do push-up contests with him, and it was impossible. Yeah, that was another guy that. You know what? I was down on White Ave the other day, pick up my son, being responsible, needing to ride home. And, I noticed something that I'm worried about with today's youth. It's their
youth of today?
Yeah, the posture. And I think it's from phones. I thought I was looking at, everyone's auditioning for the Hunchback of Notre Dame here. They were all hunched over looking at their phones and stuff. It was quite disturbing. It's one of those things where you're just sitting there and watching and go, why is everyone looks kind of weird. And but maybe it's just because I'm old now. I don't know.
Maybe it's the drugs that you don't know about these days. That are maybe
no, they weren't the zombie drugs.
Exactly, the bending over there. I maybe suggest getting into chiropractor. That would be a good career moving forward to kind of correct the generation of hunched backs and slumped necks.
Elongate spine.
Elongate the spine. We were talking about getting back on the mat.
Yeah, we were.
Show.
Yeah. I got
universe is speaking here.
Yeah, no, a little, even just a 30-minute YouTube yoga session at home. It'll make it
does wonders.
It does if you just stick to it a few times a week. It's one of those things though. You can't just do it once. It's useless. You gotta carve out some time.
It's not a light switch where it fixes all Craig wants.
No.
A little update on the last little while, but I've not seen him the last couple of months. That comes in from 10-. Sheldon, not in a white garbage truck, says Dancing Dan lives in Spruce Grove now. I see him all the time, still groving or grooving, whichever you prefer there. So yes, a bit of an update, I guess, and still going, but kicking it out in maybe the tax There's a little less up there. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, isn't the LRT going to get out there some point? I'd like to see him in the moss pit at some,
That's what I like, and those are those events where you kind of want to see all of the legends kind of congregate, collect them all type of thing.
I mean, those are, like, I'm getting to an age where I can explain to the younger generation of who that person is. Why is that guy doing push-ups? Well, son.
Gather around.
I once was in a competition outside Barry T's with that guy.
Ian also says a bunch of people complained about Dancing Dan, and every time he danced, police gave him a ticket, so he had to stop. And maybe the rules are a little more lackadaisical out in Spruce Grove. I mean, who can? What are you complaining? Like, as you say, you're stuck in traffic. You see this guy dancing. What do you? And that makes you call the cops. I kind of got beef on this. Maybe we'll talk about 7:30.
My gosh, is that the reason he's not around? Because someone was having a really bad day. Who was the guy in the nasty chat that was just having the bad day? What was his name?
Oh, Charlie.
Charlie. Maybe Charlie called in.
I think he's back this morning. He loves it. He's on it. Yeah, Charlie. We need to. Charlie, are you Dancing Dan? Yeah, you can tell us. We won't secret safe here. CB Radio guy says push-up guy still might have you. I don't know. I'm asking you here. Somebody also calling push-up guy out this morning. I like where we're going here. The push-up guy is a fraud, Wheels says. Wheels in the chair. Push-up guy's a fraud. I love it. God, I love it. Yeah, push-up guy's a cheater. Yeah, I know. It's funny. And then Jimbo says we're like 40 years from the plot of Wall-E playing out. Maybe that.
Yeah. That's. Have you seen Wall-E? That's
sad movie. Hey?
It's very sad. Yeah. Those Pixar ones are unreal. The Up is one of mine that gets me every single time.
Tube Socks here, driving into work this morning. I noticed there were Elks billboards on the Yellowhead with Trey Ford on them. What a great idea.
Weren't we talking about this?
Well, this is Iwanik's big dream.
This was last year. Yeah. I was in the hangout talking to Matt, and I think Hernan was in there too. How do you not promote the up and coming star in? It looks like in the CFL, Canadian quarterback. It's
only week 10.
God, I mean,
it's not Labor Day yet.
And I know that the relationship between the two, I mean, I guess you could say the two biggest sports entities are the Elks and the Oilers. I just think there's a symbiotic relationship that should be had there. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not like it was before. Like I remember.
And that's a damn shame, though.
It is.
Agree, right? Like
Slats was. I think it was Slats' wife was really good friends with the Eskimos at the time. Their owner's wife too, and they did a champions breakfast a lot, where there was a lot more commingling between the two sports franchises. Now you don't see it, but I mean. There's no reason why I don't think there should be a Connor McDavid and Trey Ford billboard. It's
Edmonton. It's the city.
Yeah.
It's not a one franchise than the rest of you.
No.
And I know the Stingers the other year partnered with the Riverhawks. They had that ticket package where, hey, the rest of us and the Elks were involved too. But why can't y'all? I've always maintained that it's civic stuff. It's just cheering for Edmonton, whether it's bowling, lawn bowling, darts, whatever it is, football, hockey. I mean.
In where I played in Stockholm in Sweden there's three major franchises. There's AIK, Hammarby, and Djurgården. I was playing for Djurgården. Hammarby, the number 12, is the fans' number. But this is across all sports, like football, hockey, handball, all these things. So the fans wear number 12 to the games all the time. But they're all symbiotic. Like they all feed off each other. One's not, and this is a massive, I mean, it's a big city, but with three major sport franchises in the city, like it can work.
And when one kind of dips a bit, the other two are there to pick them up, or you know what I mean?
I think it's just a real missed opportunity where, even last year, obviously the Oilers are playing well into the season, and there was some conflict. Like the Elks, I don't think they even played that day, or they moved the time or
times,
something. Right?
Riverhawks as well.
But some sort of thing. Hey, come watch us, go see us. Like make it a.
You scratch my back, and everybody wins. I totally agree with you there, and I don't know. I mean, someday.
Yeah.
We hope. I guess.
I mean, how much fun is it when you hit a Riverhawks
you do them all.
and an Elks
you collect
game,
the whole thing.
or a U of A game.
Yeah,
like
Stingers going down sometimes during K-Days that have an early tip-off. You could actually get all three. FC Edmonton as well. You could squeeze that in there. And more collaboration between the not just the ones on top, but also the ones near the bottom, I guess you can, in the financial tree.
We've been asking for like a beer crawl kind of. What's the one in Regina called? Did I talk to you about this? Maybe you didn't. My brother went to do it. There's a Golden Mile or something. You hit all the breweries or something like that.
Yeah, and Calgary's got a bit of one now.
Yeah,
Happy Beer
yeah.
Street here. You can kind of do
kinda.
that type of thing. But
I would
do it
love
as a sport.
a sacred mug that you get if you hit all 10 within and have something like.
Much like the beer glass at the Euros this
Yeah.
past summer. One of the best commemorative, nice plastic.
Oh, really?
You know?
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
beautiful. Like,
yeah.
And that's yours, and you know it. Nasty chat is humming along. People want wheels to be timed out, Trev. I don't know if you're keeping an eye on this. Joelle really wants wheels to, just for fun, she says, just for fun. Cranky Charlie as well. Toop Socks had the billboard text here. Where is it? The Wolf is coming after Charlie. I hear Charlie is the guy that goes to get ice cream and asks how cold the ice cream is. The Wolf. Ow! Nice to hear from you, The Wolf. Kevin Bandel. Nice to see you, Kev. Daryl Cates to Gager. Who the hell do you think you are? If it doesn't make Cates money, he doesn't care. Fiery text here at 6:19. I love it from Kev. He's over the top rope as well. Library Pat says word of the mouth is that Stockholm residents are all Seahawks fans. 12s. Yeah, well, that's a sneaky good text, Library Pat. Might have
that's
to
good.
put that in for text
like
of the
that.
day. And text of the day as well for A&W today. GC up for grabs. So text in 780-218-9999. Paris Jewelers inbox. You know how it's done. And if you can beat out Library Pat here, he's kind of set the bar. Maybe even Kev, too, with the Gates. I mean, that's pretty hot. But Library Pat's a little more fun. But you'll be going to A&W where they got the promotion right now. You buy one of the frosted A&W root beers, you get the second absolutely free. Any size. Great promotion there from A&W, especially with the heat. Kind of cranking back up here in Edmonton area over the next couple of days. We are trucking along here quite well. Busy show as well. Just want to go over it with you here at 6:40. Actually, ahead of that here, maybe in a couple of minutes, we will have a Leon Draisaitl report from yours truly, Joaquin Gage. He is on the beat. I don't think we have these sounds, but
we gotta get that.
We'll make it through here. So I know you're all anxious, especially Fazilla Moose, who I believe has checked into the Nasty Chat again today. But you want your Draisaitl news? We got it for you right here. Joaquin Gage has that for you in a matter of minutes. Weekly rankings of power for the Ranch Golf and Country Club, to which we had to kind of bump to today, as yesterday also was a full plate, but we will do the weekly rankings of power at around 6:40-ish. It's going to be a delicious one. You're going to like this one. 7:05, Mark Long, Associated Press, covers the Jacksonville Jaguars, and of course, he is not the reporter who interviewed famous Jags fan Roberta Ann Montgomery, but we will maybe joke about that with him again as he joins us at around 7:05. A Coolbet Canada hotline of the day from Joaquin Gage. He'll be by with that. I got beef. I had beef last night. It was delicious from Corey the Butcher. 2 nice ribeye steaks, barbecue. A confession, though, and I know it's on Tuesday, a little overdone. Like it is, I love a medium rare, and I'd rather have it a little more rare than medium.
Yeah.
So it's a little medium. But when it's a good cut of beef, it still stands true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got beef, and I also got a beef. I've switched grocery stores.
Wow.
Made the switch. I'm very brand specific, like I used to. Yeah, but I'm.
What brand?
Well, 7:30. I had an
7:30,
incident
okay.
Monday, and it was
No.
no, Tuesday actually it was, and it was just.
I
a phone
got
call.
beef with something. It made me angry on the drive in here.
Today?
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is great.
Yeah.
This is the time to get. Trev had beef too. He made too much beef last night. That was too. We'll have to get over that meal. Chris McPherson as well, our second NFL guest of the day at PhiladelphiaEagles.com. He'll join us around 7:45-ish for what's going on in Eagles camp. Hour 3, kind of easy trivia, 3 questions too many. Scalding Hot takes it around 8:20 today. The in-season tournament potholder on the line. It'll be LTE v YTT 1v1 with the judge already here, so that'll be good. A nice, quick, fleet hot takes for you at around 8:20, and that's ahead of Dave Naylor. He's on the scene at Bills camp as well. We'll do a double dip with old Dave, talking a little Bills and Week 10 in the CFL, which does kick off tonight out in Ottawa between the Red Blacks and Rough Riders. That's all ahead of the wrap for William Huff, and they'll be taking you home around 8:50. So busy show. If you want to discuss anything, whether it's local legends, Edmonton and otherwise, I know still the updates on Dancing Dan coming in Where's it? Spruce Grove Chad. We see Dancing Dan here out all the time, walking/dancing around. A gas station even had him holding a sign on the highway, dancing for a short time. Probably earned a little bit of money to pay back those fines that he accrued in Edmonton.
And the memory bank is somewhat remembering he was getting fined and handing out tickets because he was distracting people, which I look over so much when I'm driving and see people on their phones or texting and stuff.
Billboards.
I'm
moving billboards.
Come on, guys.
No,
let the man cook, or
to,
let the man dance.
He's trying to do something. Nasty chat. Wheels. The Riverhawks only get one home game for finishing high in the standing. What's up with that? It's a 3-game playoff, so there could be a third game as well. But yeah, the Riverhawks Saturday. We'll have more on that tomorrow. Maddie Murdoch from the Hawks will join us just to keep you up to date on what you need to know. I know they've kept the prices flat in terms of general admission for regular season and postseason, around $20, but the seating will be assigned, so a little bit different for Saturday, 7 o'clock. Down at RE/MAX. Should be great, though. I mean, it's been 2 years of fun around that field, not so much success on it. But it's good to see the team succeeding, albeit with players going back to college this late in the season and getting a little ball in August. Whether it's a game, 2 games, this is good. August 10, we get some baseball down at RE/MAX, so it's a beautiful thing. Switch grocery stores, TubeSock says, I do have a preferred store for my main shopping, but every Sunday I go to 4 different grocery stores for my weekly grocery shop.
No way.
So he's you cutting out the coupons, kind of hunting down the deals. Are you pretty specific to that? Do you have like a mainstay where it's in my neighborhood, I have to go. If I go anywhere else, I don't know where things are and I'm confused. And
no, because I've lived in the same area for a long period of time, and so I know. But
Joaquin,
I do enjoy the bakery at Friesen Brothers. They have the fresh, the baguettes, the sourdough. The sourdough, I've stayed away from the sourdough cinnamon buns. Those are fantastic. But a lot of the ready-made stuff is really good. Their pizzas and the biggest kept secret is it's like a $15 all-you-can-eat brunch on Sundays. And the food that they have.
Sneeze guards and everything.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's and it's an enjoyable kind of. There's the butchers in there, and you talk to it. Reminds me of back in when I played in Scotland. Like you have that. There's butchers are like 7-Elevens or Circle K's there. Right?
And I wish that was kind of more of a thing.
You go in, it would be the same 5 people every day talking to their butcher. They know him by he knows them. He's preparing what they're going to take home before they even ask, right?
And that's what you can find at Acme Meats.
Exactly.
Corey the Butcher. It's the same type of, it's that neighborhood feel. We'll have more on that at 7:30, but Corey the Butcher and Acme Meats, visit them today, Ritchie Market, nice little bar attached. That's your Euro type of coffee shop too, and
it's euphoric walking in, and when I go in there and Corey sees me, and one of the best smiles ever when he sees you, right? And he comes out and says hi. It's great.
Looks
what
like
do
a
you
killer,
need?
but the heart of a
it's
just a gentle.
He had a good picture on social media, a nice deck picture with a drink.
He takes a pretty good selfie. I'll tell him that. Like he ain't tough on the eyes. Lacombe Drew says the Carnival of Champions with the Oilers and Eskimos.
Okay.
One of my favorite events as a kid. Meeting Freddie Braithwaite and Willie Pless in one day, putting Gizmo Williams in a dunk tank. God, why can't we have that anymore?
Hey,
totally agree. What's holding you back from doing that? It's
just meeting Freddie for the first time. That's probably that's something you'll remember the rest of your life.
Also, conch requests, does he have any? Of course, we started the show off with that old conch. Trev's got the regular conch. He also has the didgeridoo, which I'm still flabbergasted about. Couldn't sleep last night. Kept waking up and being like, Trev has the didgeridoo. I can't believe it. But if you have any requests for those, if you want to send out a conch, an old conch, a didgeridoo, or whatever, please text it in or get in the nasty chat. And YouTube Trev will abide here. 6:27. Let's take a sports update. We'll be back again, weekly rankings and a Draisaitl report. It's the news you've been waiting for on the Leon Draisaitl, deal extension talk. Ooh, maybe some people saying San Jose in the nasty chat. Hey, Fazilla Moose. But we'll have more on that. A Draisaitl report from Joaquin Gage coming up next. This is the Nielson Show presented by Southford Chevrolet here on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Last night on Edmonton Sports Talk, the Riverhawks wrapped the regular season with a 7-1 loss to the Night Owls out in Nanaimo. Hawks return home. They'll await the opponent as the club will host its first ever playoff game Saturday night from Remax Field at 7 o'clock. Over to the big leagues, the Jays drop one of the Orioles 7-3. Vlad Guerrero Jr. extending his hitting streak to 19 games in the loss. The rubber match will go later today at 5:07. Canada capping the preliminary round with Hlinka Gretzky with a 2-1 win over Sweden, finishing at 3-0. Next up, Canada will take on the 2-1 Americans tomorrow night in semifinals action. Puck drop 7:30. Sweden will battle Czechia tomorrow afternoon in the other semifinal. Over to Paris, where the Canadian women's and men's 4x100 meter relay teams and shot put star Sarah Minton all qualifying for event finals. They'll have a chance to compete for podium spots later today. Alicia Newman, meanwhile, won Canada's first ever Olympic medal in women's pole vault, claiming bronze yesterday with a Canadian record height of 4.85 meters. Week 10 gets underway tonight in the CFL from Ottawa. Red Blacks host the Rough Riders, kickoff 5:30. Elks return home looking for their second straight win when they host BC Sunday at 5. And Week 1 of the NFL preseason getting underway tonight with a pair of games. The Giants host the Lions, while Carolina visits New England. Sports Update brought to you by Nisku Glass, where they can meet all of your automotive, residential, and commercial glass needs. They offer free pickup and drop-off services for your vehicle and free estimates at your home and business, and have a 4.8 star rating on Google. They will service anywhere in the greater Edmonton area and beyond. Give them a call, 780-955-7989, to meet all of your glass needs.
What say you? Hey, nasty crew. We got the Nielson show flu, and there's nothing we can do about it. What say you? Hey, nasty crew. My wife thinks I got better things to do, but there's nothing I can do about it. We're tuning in, we're listening online. We catch up with the podcast when we fall behind. We're texting in the nasty chat, what's on our mind. 780-218-9999. No more interference from corporate interest. Just Tutti and Eric and all at the back end. Like Wyszynski and Noodles, Captain can gauge it. Maybe it's but a Coolbet to make a little wager. We can't wait for the Monday mandate. Shaggy's always on time. Tommy's always late.
Would you like a cup of tea?
Forget about the old place. Hey, we were number one in the text race. We don't miss all the commercial breaks, but we sure miss Nickelback today. We wanna hear some hot takes and we wanna hear Renee. Why not hold the neck up when I wanna kiss away? Beat left the tire fire and remember that name. We love every goal song, but what about the games? Macro, Rapaport, Dragger, and Tanier. It ain't Christmas season, but they sound like reindeer. Button and my cousin and the tales of the North. All the program given person, does he go for? What say you? AM Nasty Crew. We got the Nielson show flu, and there's nothing we can do about it. And there's nothing we can do about it. And there's nothing we can do about it.
All right, 6:31. You are tuned into the Nielson Show, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, streaming on the iHeart and TuneIn radio apps, and of course on YouTube, where the nasty chat is humming. Pat Janix, I see you. Saskatoon Berries up 1-0 over Medicine Hat right now in the Western Canadian Baseball League playoffs. Saskatoon with a big win down in the Hat yesterday against the Mavericks. They'll go home up 1-0. So I got a little Berries gear on. Got this shirt from a friend down when I was visiting in Saskatoon. Nice Berries shirt and the hat. So I'm repping, trying my best. And of course, Riverhawks on Saturday, which again, seeing some shots from Nanaimo last night, and nothing against the Night Owls and their dedicated fan base. But it kind of looks like, the backstop at a kids minor, and which is fine. That's what they're set up for. But I think Edmonton and Remax Field have been waiting for this chance now for to really showcase. They can sell out Canada Days and whatnot. Doesn't really get a lot of buzz in the West Coast League with all these American teams. But now that the playoffs are here, I think you're going to get a few more eyes maybe on the location. And all this buzz about, potentially maybe the Riverhawks graduating, shall we say, to a higher league. Maybe this is one of those games where you really show out as a fan base and show everyone what you got.
I think this overall experience, the Canada Day was crazy.
Always.
Just jammed.
Getting out of there.
And that's, the money talks and the other stuff walks. And they've provided a type of entertainment attached to a really cool sporting event that, baseball's a different way to watch sports. It's very very relaxed. It's
I think
gonna
we talked about the no time clock. I believe that was you and I, but just kind of having the.
And it's gonna. People's ears are gonna perk up when they hear the attendance. They're crushing it again this year.
Oh yeah, it's out of sight. Like the rest of the team is rear view mirror down the road.
But that's gonna help with recruitment if that stays. And I don't know how I feel about other teams kind of sniff. Oh, maybe we want to move in there and get like the Riverhawks. They feel like they're our team. There's more of a fan professional sports team relationship there. I like that the Riverhawks in town. We talk about them all winter.
Strong
Can't
brand.
wait.
It's just
it's a fun, entertaining time to take the family for low cost, have a dog, and even in a loss, you rarely see people saying, "Oh, that go away unhappy at those things."
No, you can't. And I think that the great work of Randy Gregg, Hogel, like all those people that are near the die, and Maddie Murdoch, who we'll have on tomorrow, running the promotions, which is
crazy.
She doesn't get paid enough, I'll say that. Whatever it is, she's not getting paid enough. But all the people that work behind the scenes, including the team on the field, but all of that gets put together in the promotional and just advertisement work that they put in, top-notch, and rewarded with a playoff game, at least one. Here on Saturday is a great thing. Want to let you know again, the Nielson Show presented by South Fort Chevrolet. Got some new info as well. You can save up to $12,000 on a new Tahoe or Suburban. This comes from Claire. I know we talk a lot about Daniel at the dealership, and you go see him. He's got all the Nerf guns in the office. But Claire attests for the Tahoe. Perfect for skiing, hockey, accommodating all the car seats and strollers. Best vehicle for a family. So save up to $12,000 on Tahoe or Suburban, $14,000 savings on Silverado 1500s and HDs. Once again, South Fort Chevrolet, Fort Saskatchewan. Tell them EST sent you. Check them out online, www.southfortchev. 6:35, as promised, we're going to go to the Leon Draisaitl report.
So when you're doing something like this, Eric, it's difficult. You try to get in, get the information, get your sources. I'm like a young Frank Saravalli with this, a dog on a bone trying to find things. And I just want to give the people what they want. And just going through my notes. With what I've learned, there's nothing new to report with the Leon Draisaitl signing. So stay tuned. We'll stay on top of this story, and it will be brought to you by Edmonton Sports Talk as soon as that news drops.
You heard it here first, and I know people will be quoting this, and it'll be all over online everywhere, such as that. But are you again? I think you. What was the quote? No news.
No news.
Is that concerning that it's no news? Yeah, because Stan Bowman, again, the other day was no negative.
Yeah, no, he said the initial process of these things, a good first few talks, which has been in the news and paper. So everyone knows that already. So all signs are going in the right direction. You don't want to hear any roadblocks or meetings ended abruptly. I think that's what you don't want.
You wouldn't think that.
Yeah,
everybody knows the deal. Everybody knows the players and the.
And this is the negotiation. Okay, what do you think? What do we think? You throw us a number, we'll come back, and then so this is where the whole process starts. And look, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that it's?
I think it's fine, but I think sometimes, and I'm dealing with this right now as a Liverpool fan in soccer. It's transfer season. It's like the final month or whatever, and the silence can be very. And I don't know why fans take the silence as an absolute negative all the time. As you say, there are talks. There's a comfortability. Like there is a. If everybody knows each other, the agents, the management group, the player, everybody's comfortable. And you got a good thing going here. If you would have crashed out and say lost in the first round, if there was a lot of negativity surrounding the team and a lot of maybe question marks and where do we go from here and what are we doing, I could then even see and maybe make a case. But at this point, at this stage of the game, with where the team is at and how everybody kind of knows, it's just talking. It's talking and then getting your T's crossed, your I's dotted, the whole bit. So I take sometimes, and I understand taking the silence as a negative where you just. If it's so easy, just announce it already. But doing due diligence and going through the process takes some time. And It's something good news really for us to kind of hang on to.
No, and
the summer months.
Is this not? I mean, obviously Jeff Jackson's a big part of this whole negotiation as well. But wasn't the whole bringing in, although very controversial, I would say, with Stan Bowman taking the general manager position? Isn't this the reason why they brought him in to add a little bit more like negotiation tactics at this point? That's the only thing that gave me a little bit of pause throughout this whole thing. I was 80-20, I guess, with Leon staying and signing. Just, there's always a chance, I guess.
Sure, yeah, you can.
But then I was like, oh, this is a very public, very controversial hiring by the Oilers, you could say. I mean, wherever Bowman was going to go, but especially in a Canadian market, it's going to be a little bit more of a spotlight, I think.
Yeah.
And does that go into Leon's decision-making of staying with Edmonton? Maybe not. But the first thing in my mind was why put a hurdle on maybe his decision making? Why not? Yeah. Why not make it?
I would have thought though, if you're placing that hurdle, you would know that I don't think you put that hurdle there if you didn't know. If that's the case, I mean that's more damning than anything if you didn't really do your due diligence there. But I also like timing is everything too, and the Bowman hiring was pretty negative around these parts. Fair to say. I mean, again, whatever you think of the guy as a GM, that's fine. I'm not gonna rake you over the coals there, but it was a negative announcement that a lot of people weren't renewing tickets, all this stuff. So you would have thought that maybe a Draisaitl deal would sweeten the and in terms of timing and announcements and I mean, again, none of this stuff is we're just going to announce this today randomly. It was times are picked and everything's kind of picked.
Exactly.
So
it has to be.
Yeah, and you would think that the Draisaitl deal then would be one of those that swings it back the other way. Oh, here, you don't like the gym? Well, hear about this and look at this. But I just, given this situation and the specificities that surround it, I'm not too worried that it's taking some time. Trev, what do you think on the timing on this? Sorry, does the length of time concern you? Or are you just like, I'll wait patiently. This is good. Christmas is coming.
I'm not too worried. I'm just looking at the nasty chats. He won't sign until September. That's kind of where I'm leaning towards. Preferably, I'd like him to sign at least 2 weeks before, because on contract years, you can just, the sooner you get it done, the sooner you can just focus on playing hockey. Yeah. And I feel like Leon Draisaitl's smart enough to realize that. So I think it's no question he's signing in Edmonton. He's obviously enjoying summer. He's probably going to take a few weeks to just, chill with the fiance for a little bit and just not hockey-related stuff. But then when it's back to the grind, I think he's going to be like, hey, let's get this done as soon as possible. So I don't think there's any worry. But you just see, I'd be blown away if he didn't sign it. But, it's just you want to just play hockey. And how many times do you see it with, I brought this up on the oil stream, with William Nylander when he held it out on his contract. He just sucked. Yeah. And then he signed it, and then he come back, and he just wasn't the same. It takes a while to get into it. Once you sign, it's just, I don't know what it is, but there's something that just lingers in the back of your mind, am I ever going to live up to this contract? And not only that, if you start underperforming, you're going to be like, oh crap, I should have signed even more, because now my number's going down, right? So I feel like I'm not worried. Leon's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He'll sign pretty soon here. I imagine, ideally, I'd like to see at least 2 weeks before training camp, though.
I feel that Leon is a very confident person, and he's sitting there with essentially he knows the numbers to the lottery and has the ticket, and it's just it's
What's
not
the rush.
He's gonna get paid. What a great position to be in. But yeah, like you said, I like that, Trev. Just not. You want to be able to not think about other things and have a singular focus, especially through that grueling 82-game schedule. So yeah, I think you got something there.
Scalding Gord chimes in with a question for you about your playing days, but we might push that to 3 questions too many here. This is a real. He's really digging deep here.
Jesus.
And this text unsigned. Hopefully Bowman wasn't brought in to handle contracts. He handed out shitty ones to Taves, Keith, and Seabrook and tanked the Blackhawks. That's an opinion. I mean, going over his body of work, the stuff off the ice, and you can compartmentalize that. But his deals, his drafting, and all of that. I mean, quickly here as we move on, but where do you kind of come out on that?
I mean, it's not a stellar track record with
Really
draft. It's not. Those players were already there. Yeah, he gave them their due. I guess those two. What was it? 10-5 to Taze and Kane that kind of really handcuffed them. But they're both Hall of Famers. 3 Stanley Cups there. It was all built for him to kind of.
Well, it's the price of success with
Yeah.
teams in a cap structured thing. You sell out to win, and then you might have some lean years.
I don't know. I mean, Duncan Keith, I think, still has a relationship with the Oilers, which I think is pretty cool. I would, obviously, when players play for certain people or have relationships, I wouldn't be surprised if Connor or Leon or someone else that played with Duncan Keith with his time with the Oilers have reached out and said, "Hey, what kind of guy is Bowman? You've dealt with this guy, whether good, bad. It's players converse behind the scenes, so that could go into it a little bit. I don't know."
Specificities and comfortableness. Wow, Eric is putting on a grammar masterclass this morning. Too much time in Saskatchewan, eh? Yeah, no. I was trying to paint the picture and fit the mood there, but no, I will be better. Weekly rankings of power right now. We will transition quickly here. As mentioned, brought to you by the Ranch Golf and Country Club. Supposed to usually do these Wednesday, and that's usually the weekly rankings day. But the menu was quite full yesterday, so we will rank this morning in the weekly rankings of power, brought to you by the Ranch Golf and Country Club this morning, and you can check them out today. Of course, the site of the highly successful and still talked about EST first inaugural initial classic that we had out at the ranch. Offer premier conditions, top-notch service, unmatched value out at the Ranch Golf and Country Club. Great choice for your first round of the season or next round. You can book tee times. Visit theranchgolf.com. I think Jason Milne was out there with his wife. Bears and Pandas golf classic yesterday. Looked like a good time. Everybody was dressed up nicely and a bit more, shall we say, on the cuff than compared to our tournament. The buttons were done up. I
think I played in that tournament a couple years ago too. Saw one big Ian Herbers.
Yeah.
Herbie is out there.
Yeah.
Stoff was MCing at the end.
The Marshall.
It was great.
I'll be going over the top 10 favorite cuts of steak.
Ooh, I like this.
I had 2 ribeyes last night from Corey the Butcher, Acme Meats, which we'll get to, and I got beef. Once again, a grocery store confession in that segment. Not naming names or brands, but I mean, delicious meat. Go down there, see Corey today. But top 10 favorite cuts of steak, and I'm glad that you're sitting next to me here, and Trev, chime in if you'd like to. I don't know if the steak is kind of in your wheelhouse here, but I know you're no stranger to a good slice of beef.
Mm-hmm.
Number 10, Porterhouse.
Ooh, very. That's
you like
that's
that at
high.
the foot of the okay, high. I like
no, it's the old 96er.
The old 96. Exactly. Well, it's big, and it's like a carnival type of. I'm never buying one to grill up on my own.
No,
it's bought. No. It's too carnival-esque. I want a little something, but Porterhouse is number 10.
Perfect.
Just like the name, and it's kind of again the old 96. They're kind of turns up memories like that. Flank steak at number 9.
Okay, yeah.
You familiar? I mean,
no,
experience
nice little
with
flank steak. Yeah,
well,
no.
Skirt will be 8.
Yeah.
Same type of taco type of slice it up nice and throw them on a taco.
Little tenderizing mallet too helps with that.
Plastic wrap and all that. Prime rib at number 7. Should have had it at 10. Not a big. You go to a restaurant. Hey, we're slicing the prime rib today. It's whatever. You don't really.
Yeah, it's the Golden Corral. The guy at the end with the chef's shirt and the tall hat, slicing it.
I'll eat it.
Can you make it a little bigger?
Well, yeah, it's coming out at a juicy medium rare. It always is.
Always is.
I've never gone into a place. Hey, we got the prime rib. Well done. Okay. Number 6, flat iron steak.
I don't think I've ever had a flat iron steak.
I haven't either.
No.
But it looks good.
Yeah.
It's number 6, not too high on the list.
Okay.
But now when we get into the top 5, I'm going with a little something more familiar for me, the T-bone.
Yeah.
T-bone at number 5.
George's preferred nickname.
I was visiting my folks over last week, and my dad says, do they still sell the T-bone? Like, I can't find a good T-bone steak.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it a thing? Is it with the youth of today? Like, it used to be a thing, the T-bone steak.
Yeah, that's all you. I think was
cut,
it's a classic cut. The T-bone. It's the New York strip and the.
You get it all in one. The eye of round or the round of eye.
It's the tender. I got him. Corey texted him.
Both Corey and Murray McCourt from the Ranch are probably squirming right now. At our, number 4, bites.
Steak bites.
Hey, yeah, like again, it's kind of taken off here. Cutting up steak into smaller portions. Who would have thought? But I think you can do steak bites off any really cut.
Well,
right?
it's big.
Some
like,
better than the others.
Almost you could have the slash and go burnt ends too. That's
Number 3, ribeye.
Oh, my favorite cut.
That's your favorite. So you have that number 1.
The ribeye is my favorite. It's marbled.
Nice little strip of fat
yeah,
there at the end. What do
yeah.
they call that thing that you cut off too? That's like it's got a name.
No, I prefer a marbled steak. When I go to places and see it's just big fluorescent red meat with no
the round.
Yeah, it doesn't appeal.
Filet mignon, number 2.
That's what it is. That's the other side. The fillet is on the filet mignon
and you
on
can
a T-bone.
wrap that puppy up, right? I mean, that's kind of your champagne of steak cuts, I would say.
My friends, if I meet them at the keg, whatever, I'm never eating. It's too expensive. But then my buddy always the baseball fillet.
Baseball,
the
the
baseball
real
fillet.
thick,
real
tall,
thick. I'm like, geez, that's a lot.
I love cutting through one of those suckers. Medium rare, of course, for all of
It's a
you.
change up coming out.
Yeah, people are starting to figure me out here on the nasty chat. That's okay. A few texts, though. Joel says, Wagyu, 2 barfing emojis. I don't know about that. That's an expensive, right? You want to talk about marbling. That's Marble City.
Yeah.
You
The proper, Japanese Wagyu. My son bought me for my birthday a Wagyu ribeye, which was really expensive.
I don't ask on the price, but
no,
a great son you
it
have
was, and I felt I had never had more pressure to cook that thing because I didn't use anything. Right? It's so... And it was next level. That's
and you hit it out of the park?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. No, that's the win right there.
Yeah. I had to share it with everyone, though, but whatever.
You get the big piece, though. Colin Ellerslie says, where did he say? A round steak makes a beautiful Philly cheesesteak in the slow cooker. I mean, there are certainly different meals that you use for different cuts and all that such.
Yeah.
But yeah, my number 1 in the top favorite cuts of steak for weekly rankings of Power brought to you by the Ranch Golf and Country Club. It's the New York Strip.
Yeah, solid, reliable.
As a man on the go with no family and a nice, beautiful, my wife, 2 strips and away you go. That's all you need.
Yeah.
Never complain. Can cook it easily. Like it's, I'm not intimidated by it. A ribeye is like ooh.
Not as marbled as the ribeye. Ribeye is
No,
usually a little fattier. Ruth's Chris has a really good New York Strip, but you can get them from Corey too. He has tremendous cuts of meat. I'm surprised. Do you dabble in any brisket at all?
I'll do that. I love all that stuff. The tri-tip.
Yeah,
right? Is that
those are like the tough cuts. Like the brisket comes from the front of the cow, and their necks are going, so it's really tough. Those types of meats. That's why the smoked. You're cooking those things over low and slow for 12 hours and things like that.
I want it all. And
I
I'm
know.
so glad that you're here to give me a little bit of knowledge half the time with the smoking and the different cuts, but I appreciate that. It was good. It was a nice meal. Again, I told you I overcooked them a bit. I would rather have it on the rare side than not. It was a little medium last night, but again, when you get a good cut of beef from Corey the Butcher at Acme Meats, you cook it any way you want. It'll turn out
investing
fine.
in a proper immediate digital thermometer is...
You warned me.
And
I have one at home. I've taken out the package.
Yeah, it just...
I can't bring myself to
especially when you're hitting that... Because you seem like a medium, just under... Like somewhere between medium rare and medium is where I like it. And if you just get that thing to probably about 119 degrees and then you let it rest, it'll get to 125, 130, then just suck those juices back in. Oh,
I
delicious.
went 2 minutes aside to get the marks, right?
Yeah.
Then I turned the heat down to medium 4 minutes aside.
Okay.
Then I let it rest for 7.
Nice.
Maybe a little... Was the resting maybe too long? Or
No. I think you're fine. Yeah. 7's is good. Maybe 10's probably. It depends. It depends on the size.
Strip loin for the win, Rob Crosby says. There is a lot of salt and pepper, nothing more. And I put a little bit of salt in there, a little bit of oil, a little bit of oil, massage it in to get the thing. But Trev, where do you come out on this? Do you have a particular cut when you season? Do you put anything on, or you just kind of you throw it on? You don't care because we have a cooking tale from you last night as well.
Every now and then I'll marinate it. I don't know. I kind of just look. I'm like, this one looks good. I know my dad's not happy at me because he's actually a butcher and he's listening right
really?
now. And he says ribeye number 1 by far.
Yeah.
So that's kind of funny, but I don't cook much steak. I need to. Like I want to. My buddy, my roommate, he'll spend like the night before prepping his steak, and then I've had it. I'm like, that's like.
Does he marinate?
Oh yeah, everything.
Are you in
and
for
I'm
the
just
marinating
like,
a steak? Like where do we come out on that? That's some
It
people, but
yeah, no, I'm not. I'll put like salt and pepper and let it rest.
I'll put some garlic powder on there.
Yeah, no,
I do it.
I mean that's salt and pepper. I'm a big fan of keeping it simple, and it's always the. I mean, there's some funky little spices you can
you
go
can
and get,
go all
and
over the map,
they're
eh?
great. They're fantastic. But
Knowing your dad's that's a good. I mean, I don't know what have you picked up anything off of that? Did you go with him like when you were younger to kind of in the butcher?
yeah, like he'd always bring me in the shop, and
That's
I'd
cool.
just be it was cool. It would it was I don't even know the machines that they'd use like to make the burgers and all the weird the minced meat kind of. It would come out of this. I don't know. It was always so fun to watch, but it was scary because like he's like the nicest guy ever, like so friendly and so nice, and then you just see him turn around the corner with this huge knife. He's like, "Hey," I'm like, "What the heck?" So yeah, no, it's good. I loved it. I loved it actually. I was in the shop a lot growing up. But
I gotta have
I
you
never
over.
learned much.
Gotta have you guys, and we'll sous vide the steaks. So
Yeah, never had that
so-
one either. Actually, I think a buddy of mine did that one with the Ziploc bag and the thing. And
yeah, I got
boiling
the
them.
food saver. I usually seal it with like rosemary, garlic, and cubes of butter, so it just kind of gets it to that perfect, and then you just sear it real quick, and it's next level. The other thing is, if you do have the KitchenAid, I always suggest to go get the meat grinding attachment, and Corey's done this for me, and I've said it before. You get the half-pound ribeye or short rib, half-pound sirloin, half-pound brisket. Grind all that up, make some patties. You don't even have to season them. Throw them in.
You won't be buying a box of frozen ever again, eh?
No, it's you throw those and cook those properly, and you can. The thing what I like is you can cook those to medium, right?
Yeah.
Most ground beef you have to cook it all the way through just to.
But you
be
can live a
cool
little
stuff.
American here. With
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
with
You
this
can go.
concoction
You can
here.
go with a little pink in the middle.
Amish Man 19 says, I'm taking notes from Grillmaster Gager. And maybe if your dad wants to ever throw in an opinion from the butcher block, I
Yeah.
mean, we'd be glad to hear it. That's a great tool that you got there, Trev. Norman Comment says, family of 5, no resting the meat here. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, it's one of the patience maybe waning in that family there. Tube Socks, my mother-in-law always marinates steaks, makes me sad. Wheels just says, Trev ate a lot of steak growing up.
I did. It was like prime cuts, right? Because he knows
Yeah.
the good ones, so
Yeah.
it was always super nice.
And then the summer shows from Smith TM14. No, you're right, baby. Summertime and the living's easy, and that's what we're doing here. Look, it's the weekly rankings of power once again, brought to you by the Ranch Golf and Country Club. We thank Marie McCord and the Ranch for sponsoring that segment, usually on Wednesdays at around 8:30, but bumped today for a Thursday on another busy show here on the Nielson Show. I wanted to get to this 6:56. We are just ahead of our first guest of the day. It's going to get a lot more businessy in the second hour as we'll head for our NFL previews, both Jacksonville and Philly. Mark Long from the Associated Press at around 7:05. Chris McPherson, Eagles.com. He'll be joining us at around 7:45. We'll have a Coolbet Canada hotline of the day. And I got beef. Back to the beef talk. But more so the figurative beef. To which I have a tale as well, switching supermarkets. I think you had a beef from something on your commute here earlier today.
Yep.
So we'll be going there for Corey the Butcher and Acme Meats at around 7:30. But I just wanted to quickly get into Trev's meal from last night, too. I discussed mine. I had the steaks. But you said yesterday, you're like, it's curry night, and we were talking a little curry.
Stay away from me. I smell like curry right now.
I love it. You should come over. I'd like it to be a big whiff. I don't mind the curry smell. to be
Oh,
honest
it's
with you.
great.
Takes
It
me
is.
back to traveling and stuff.
Yeah.
But how
Yeah.
did you had a tweet.
Oh, yeah, I did tweet it.
Two pots.
I wanted to do a video on it because I thought it would have been funny to be like, oh, first you
should've set
chop
the
up
whole,
the onion.
the whole thing, and
You dice it, and then you grab your tomato.
But walk us through. What did you do? You made too much or not
yeah.
enough? or-
Like the recipe I use is the recipe that I used to make for I guess my stepdad, he used to make for like the whole family. And I figure why not go big or go home. I like it because the next day you can have and the next few days.
fine, yeah.
I'll be having it for lunch tonight. I'll be having it for supper. But the spice. Oh, this good old spice. They discontinued it where we used to get our groceries, and we always looked in Lethbridge for everywhere. We checked out all the places and couldn't find it. But sure enough, found it here in Edmonton, and it was awesome. And I was able to, I marinated the chicken with it. Real nice. Oh, it was so good, and it brought me back to like grade 12. It really did. So I'm very happy with how it turned out. I'm sorry. I love cooking, but like it was like a almost 4-hour process to like prep everything and then clean it, and I'm like, that's just a lot of time.
No help from the roommates. I would assume.
No time.
Solo job.
Yeah, all solo. But
I do like in the photograph though. You got the
really
coffee
good.
brewing.
Yeah, I just had some coffee.
I love the coffee and the curry, and then you have a nice photo above your stove that says butter half.
Right.
A real delicious play on words there. I don't know what the top says, but I'm just
lots of butter
around.
with the onions and tomatoes, all the spices. It turned out super good, and I was telling Gage, it's way better the next day.
Oh, yeah.
It's way better.
The
improves.
incorporation of the flavors, right?
Yeah.
Sitting in that fridge. But that's a hell of a lot of onions.
Yeah, it's
Amish Man 19 says those are some overloaded pans.
yeah, it was a lot. I'm not gonna lie. I grabbed like the 2 biggest onions. I grabbed one too many tomatoes, and I used up all the chicken thigh.
Good.
It was like 10 little chicken thighs.
You're
Wow,
set
that's,
now, though. You got
it
your
was-
meal prep for the...
It was a lot. Yeah, it was good. So I can't wait to have it. It's gonna be, and I just loved it. It's nice to cook. It's just
Make
time
sure
consuming.
you label it here so Zach doesn't...
Yeah.
be
He doesn't
smelling
deserve
curry
it.
here, too.
It's too good.
New AST show idea, Grilling with Gager, that comes in from Corey the Butcher. He goes, sorry, Gryba. So, yeah, maybe a little, grilling with... You got the rhyme already.
I think I've mentioned it with Cass, because Cass is pretty good in the with the skillet and the.
He is too, hey?
Yeah, no, he has some
2 guys
very,
in the grill.
Yeah, that would be good. Dusty could sit there with his frozen patties and throw those on, and every time it would be great. There's nothing wrong with those frozen patties.
Oh, no,
they're
I
great.
just-
They are fantastic.
But again, it's taking it back to the day where he said that he's like, I had a big barbecue. The way he said it, like when you say that, just say you threw some frozen patties. It's all good.
Yeah, and it's not barbecuing; it's grilling. If you go down south and say you're barbecuing, they look at you like you got 8 heads, right? Grilling is what we normally do with our Webers and whatever, all those things.
And then there's the grilling and the smoking.
Yeah, exactly. So
780-218-9999 if you have any comments on YouTube Trev's curry casserole, the steaks from last night, what's your favorite cut, anything relating to meat and butchery. I mean, we hit on some Edmonton legends as well. It was a fun 6 o'clock morning. Trev, you got a didgeridoo, conch? Do something. Play them all if you want. I mean, it's a dealer's choice here. Mouthful there. Heck of a 6 o'clocker hour. Getting the show off to a great start is the Nielson Show. Lieutenant Eric, Joaquin Gage, YouTube Trev. Brought to you by Southford Chevrolet. We'll hit a sports update. We'll be back. First guest of the day, Mark Long, Associated Press. We'll head down to Jacksonville and see what the Jaguars are cooking for the upcoming season. The Edmonton Riverhawks last night on Edmonton Sports Talk, wrapping up the regular season with a 7-1 loss out in Nanaimo to the Night Owls. Hawks back home. They'll host the franchise's first ever playoff game Saturday night for Remax Field. First pitch, 7 o'clock. Jays drop one of the Orioles 7-3. Vlad Guerrero Jr. extending his hitting streak to 19 games in the loss. Rubber match will go later today, 5:07. Canada capping the preliminary round with a 2-1 win over Sweden last night at the Holinka Gretzky to finish 3-0. Canada will take on the 2-1 Americans tomorrow night in semifinals action. Puck drop 7:30. Sweden will battle Czechia tomorrow afternoon in the other semifinal. Canadian women's and men's 4x100 meter relay teams and shot put star Sarah Mitten all qualifying for event finals. They'll all have a chance to compete for a podium spot later today. Alicia Newman, meanwhile, winning Canada's first ever Olympic medal in women's pole vault. She claimed bronze yesterday with a Canadian record height of 4.85 meters. On the gridiron, Week 10 gets underway tonight from Ottawa as the Red Blacks host the Rough Riders in CFL action. Kickoff 5:30. Elks are back home. They'll look for their second straight win when they host the Lions Sunday at 5. And Week 1 of the preseason in the NFL getting underway tonight. The Giants will host the Lions while Carolina visit New England. Sports Update brought to you by Green Plan, providing you with award-winning environmental planning and consulting services. Whether it's municipal, industrial, or residential, plan it right with Green Plan. Visit green-plan.com or give them a call, 780-455-4292.
A baseball bat, a man with a tendency to overreact out of control. Oh, and so it goes. The kid with the promise, with the friends with the tats, hopped in a car, now past the scalpel stat, 6 feet below. Oh, and so it goes.
.704, you're listening to The Nielson Show, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, streaming on the iHeart and TuneIn radio apps, and as always on YouTube. If you are watching on YouTube this morning, hit the sub, hit the like if you haven't already. It's Lieutenant Eric, Joaquin Gage in for Dustin Nielson, and YouTube Trev behind the monitors. He's got the music, he's got the conches, and the didgeridoos, as you heard in the 6 o'clock hour. Nielson Show presented, as always, by Southfort Chevrolet. You can check them out today, www.southfortchev.com. Your go-to dealer in Fort Saskatchewan. Go see Daniel and the team. Tell them EST sent you. And I know, again, as I mentioned, Daniel's kind of the boss man there with his Nerf guns in his office. But Claire from the top rope. How about these deals? You can save up to $12,000 on a new Tahoe or Suburban. Excellent stock available. Great for the family. Car seats, strollers. Truly the best vehicle for a family if you're looking. $12,000 savings on Tahoes or Suburbans. You can also save right now up to $14,000 on Silverado 1500s and HDs. So check out South Fort Chev today, either in Fort Saskatchewan or online, www.southfortchev.com. Tell them EST sent you. And that team, Daniel and Claire, they'll hook you up and get you going where you need to go. Text of the day as well, still up for grabs from A&W. We got a gift certificate on the line. 780-218-9999 is the number to text. If you want to talk about Edmonton legends, how to prepare meat, or any type of other food, fair enough. It is the summer, as somebody pointed out in the nasty chat, and we're living easy and having a little fun. But we will get to some business right now. Our first guest of the day this morning, and our returning guest as well, as we used to have him on regularly during our NFL previews, camp previews during this month at the old station. But Mark Long, Associated Press, joins us again, and thank you very much for your time once again, Mark. You can follow him as well on Twitter at AP Mark Long from the Associated Press, covering the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mark, I just wanted to get here, before we talk kind of the on the field and what's been going on at camp ahead of Saturday's exhibition game against the Chiefs. $1.4 billion for a, quote, stadium of the future, reportedly keeping the Jaguars in that area for the next 30 years. The mock drawings and everything look like a spaceship, as most new stadiums and arenas do, Mark. But your thoughts on this $1.4 billion stadium of the future that will lock in the Jaguars here for the next 30 years?
Yeah, it looks fantastic, and they are adamant that what you see is what you're going to get, that all the renderings and models are going to be what they build. So it's, it's a long ways away. You got to wait, till 2028 for it to open. But that you'll blink and it'll be here. So it is huge for the franchise. It's huge for the city of Jacksonville. It is huge for the long-term stability of the team here. And, it's exciting. It's exciting for the players. It's exciting for everybody around here. And what it means, we'll see going forward. Does it mean, a Final Four, college basketball? Does it mean college football playoff games? What does it mean? They don't expect it to mean a Super Bowl, but anything short of that, they think they can attract it here in Jacksonville and really maybe take this what's one of the smaller markets in the NFL and maybe put it on the map and take it to the next level.
Yeah, if it becomes anything like those mock renderings, and as you say, they're going to get really close to what those are, then it should be a fantastic site, and not just for Jaguars football, but some other events as well. You talk about stability and such, and we'll turn to the on the field. Trevor Lawrence, his health, turnovers as well plaguing him. 5-year, $275 million extension. Mark, but how's Trevor looking? What are expectations? Again, health is a priority for him and this team. I mean, they go as he goes, and he goes as his health goes. So where are we at right now with the health of Trevor Lawrence, and what do you kind of expect maybe another year under his belt pro-wise coming off this extension? What do you expect for him heading into this season?
Yeah, he's healthy, and he feels good. He looks good. Everything is there. You know, he doesn't get hit in preseason. Certainly in training camp. He will get hit Saturday night. If he'll play a quarter, so they'll play the Chiefs on Saturday night, and he'll get hit for the first time since the season ended. So we'll see. But they've invested in the offensive line. They signed a veteran, Mitch Morse, from the Buffalo Bills. They re-signed Ezra Cleveland at left guard. They've done some things on that offensive line to better improve the people around Trevor. They feel like they've got to keep him upright, got to keep him healthy. That's the key. They point to a 19-game stretch over 2 seasons from 2022 into 2023 where he was 14-5 as a starting quarterback, threw for, close to 5,000 yards and doubled touchdowns to interceptions. So they look at that and they go, if he's healthy, if he's upright, if we're doing the things we're supposed to do around him, this is what we think we can be. And so, they're gambling on that. And they paid him, they didn't pay him based on his production. They really they paid him based on his potential and what they see that he's capable of. So that's where it's at. It hasn't, he's still got a losing record, right? 21-31 as a starting quarterback in this league. Way too many turnovers, 60 in 3 years. Way too many turnovers, way too many fumbles in the pocket. Stuff like that. They just got to clean it up. And it's a big year for Trevor. It's a big year for Doug Peterson, Trent Baalke, all of them, because the owner is on record. Shad Khan's on record as saying, this team, the expectations are super high. And I don't know that they're going to, they certainly need to win the AFC South.
Yeah.
I don't know that how safe they would be if they didn't do that. If they don't have a winning record. If this team turns around and goes, 8-9, 7-10 and misses the playoffs, I would think Shad Khan's got to start thinking about changes, because that's the level of expectation. That's the level of commitment. That's the fun. The money he spent on this franchise, on free agents, on draft picks, he's got a ton invested, and he's not getting a lot of return on his investment right now when they do what they did last year, which is lose 5 of the final 6 games and miss the playoffs in pretty, crushing fashion. So they got to get back to where they were when they won a playoff game in the end of after the 2022 season, and then they started 8-3 in 2023. Last year they started 8-3 and were atop the AFC South. That's the expectation. That's what everybody expects around here, and I would think Shad Khan would make some changes if it doesn't look like that again.
Looking at the schedule, they have an interesting schedule, moving over to overseas for a few games to start the year. We talk about, obviously, Trevor Lawrence signing that big deal, the importance of getting off to a good start. How does the team feel about, obviously last year's not sealing the deal and making it into the playoffs, but with the new contract, the added pressure, obviously, how does the team feel about going overseas in an important time of the year, trying to secure wins?
Yeah, it is brutal, and there's a lot of people around the league, when you talk to them, they think that trip, 2 weeks, middle of the season, not really middle, but kind of, I guess in the middle, it causes problems later in the year. Like, you don't come back from that trip and immediately have issues, jet lag, whatever. where it catches up to you 2, 3, 4 weeks afterwards. And that's what they think happened last year. The injuries started piling up, and maybe that London trip, and they won both games over there last year, but maybe that London trip has effects months down the road. So we'll see. I think because this is another year where they're playing 2 games over there, and I think we'll see what kind of effects it has on them in November and December, because when it really matters, right? But they've made no bones about it. That is a critical part of this franchise. They make a ton of money over there, and that helps them improve their bottom line, which allows them to do things like paying free agents, re-signing their current players, and building a stadium of the future where it's going to be a $1.4 billion. That's essentially a 50-50 split between the owner and the city. So, you're able to do those things because you're making money overseas. So that's not going to go away. That is going to be part of the schedule. They might not always play 2 games over there, but they're certainly going to they want to continue playing at Wembley Stadium at least 1 game a year. I do think eventually down the road, every 4 years, they'll probably play in Northern Ireland, in Dublin there, but that has not been scheduled yet, but I think it's coming at some point. But as you talked about, it's a tough schedule. They got to find a way to get out of the first 4 weeks with, I would think maybe a couple of wins. 3-1 would be unbelievable, but you're talking about starting at Miami, playoff team, at home against the Browns, playoff team, at the Bills, playoff team, at the Texans, playoff team. So 3 of the first 4 on the road and all 4 against playoff teams. That's a pretty daunting stretch. You do not want to be 0-4 at the end of September, even though that would be your most daunting stretch of the season. You just don't want to be in that kind of a hole trying to dig your way out.
It is a bit of a murderer's row, as you mentioned, those first 4 weeks. And then on September 29th, that 4th would be against the Texans, whom, again, in this division, Mark, and we're with Mark Long from the Associated Press, covers the Jacksonville Jaguars. Texans, again, they're rounding the bend, turning the corner, and kind of breathing down the neck, I guess you could argue, in that division. One more for you on the Jags, though, and specifically the offense. And when it comes to weaponry for one Trevor Lawrence, a bit of a revamped receiver group, shall we say, Mark? Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones out. Gabe Davis, Brian Thomas Jr. in. Any other updates when it comes to the offense? And do you see the weaponry that Lawrence will have at his disposal improved, maybe slightly taken a step back? How do you kind of come out of what Trevor Lawrence will have to work with this upcoming season?
Yeah, well, they think they got faster and more big play ability. And that's not to take away from Zay Jones and Calvin Ridley, but they just look at it and they go, Brian Thomas Jr. was outstanding at LSU, big-time playmaker, faster than both of those guys, and they think they're going to be able to take the top off the defense and hit some deep balls. Gabe Davis, also a guy coming out of Buffalo, known for big playability.
Yep.
So they think those 2 guys are going to be huge from that standpoint. And then I think more important is the return of Christian Kirk. A big issue for them down the stretch last year was Christian Kirk got hurt. He is the heart and soul of their receiving corps. He is Trevor Lawrence's go-to guy. He's his security blanket. They are best friends. They live in the same neighborhood. They play golf regularly. They hang out socially. You cannot undervalue how important he was to Trevor Lawrence and this offense. And when he went down last year, they weren't the same. They just weren't the same. Well, he's healthy now, back in that slot, and I would think that's going to be a huge difference for this receiving core. And then he'll be the go-to guy, and Gabe Davis and Brian Thomas will come along as options 2 and 3 right out of the gate.
So, Mark, and just final one for you, wrapping up here, in terms of the division, and again, if everything goes as planned, I mean, if it's a healthy Trevor Lawrence, if limiting, I guess, the turnovers and all this turns out, where do you see them kind of stacking up in terms of rankings in the AFC South? I mentioned Houston. Indy, yeah, I mean, there's an argument there, maybe Tennessee, but how do you see them if everything kind of goes to plan this season? Where do you see them kind of coming out in that AFC South picture?
Well, yeah, everybody's going to pick the Colts because they were pretty good with Gardner Minshew last year, and now they get Anthony Richardson back. A lot of people are going to pick Houston because C.J. Stroud, AFC player, I think he might have been the Rookie of the Year, or at least in the conversation. So the Jags they go from the hunted to the hunter now. They're, a lot of people are picking them second or third in the division, but inside the building, they think they are still the class of the AFC South and should be atop the AFC South when it's all said and done. One thing we didn't touch on is the key to it is defense. They were not good defensively last year. They made sweeping changes on that side of the ball, and that's where they got a chance to be really good, really quick, a big turnaround. And if that happens, I think it's look out. You're looking at a team that could win maybe, as many as 11 or 12 games.
Jacksonville Jaguars hosting Kansas City Saturday at 5 to kick off the preseason. Mark Long, Associated Press, we really appreciate your time once again previewing camp, and enjoy the rest of camp, preseason, and the regular season ahead.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
There it is. Mark Long. You can find him, follow him on Twitter, at AP Mark Long, covers the Jags for the Associated Press.
At least Trevor Lawrence, I was reading he lost his golf clubs. So I think with that $275 million contract, he can replace those with.
You're talking about that extension. We're talking about the $1.4 billion, and then it's those games in London. Like, you're kind of like, other teams like, we'll finance something by playing games here, whatever. Like, who's to say? You open up that jar, and you're going teams going around the world getting money from all elsewhere to build other things.
And like he said, they won both games, but they coming back
on a week-to-week base. Like, you have a week to plan in football. Obviously, some weeks shorter than others, but to kind of. You all jam in that week in terms of prepping and film and all that, and then getting your body.
Yeah, like it's. I mean, if you're not used to it, coming back, I always felt was a little bit harder. But you go there, you try to stay up and put yourself on a perfect schedule. And I mean, they're on the East Coast, so it's a little bit easier for them. I think it's probably 4 or 5 hours difference, but still, I mean, you're over there for a long period of time, 2 weeks, hotel, it's not there's probably family and things like that, but it's a family kind of trip. But this is a team that wants to. I just don't understand just where they were last year, and you kind of see the writings on the wall that, wow, we kind of ran out of gas, or we could have made the playoffs here. And you're doing these extracurricular things.
As long as you're getting the Stadium of the Future and your quarterback signed to an extension.
I guess. I mean, I like Trevor Lawrence. I think he's exciting to watch. But again, he's got there's just that added pressure now. There's a little bit more of a Darnell noose is what we say about these contracts.
Yeah, I get it. Hey, well, but you're right. I mean, you're kind of now. He can afford to lose golf clubs or whatever, break golf clubs. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters anymore. You're paid.
He can get those DeChambeau 3D printed ones that are like $12,000 or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, buy the whole set. So we thank Mark for his time once again at AP Mark Long. You can follow him for all you Jags fans out there. #Duval. Or whatever they're doing down there, Duval County this season. We will continue our NFL previews later on in this hour. Chris McPherson, PhiladelphiaEagles.com, will be by. Chat Eagles camp, expectations for them. Of course, another new play caller on offense. We'll see what happens on the defense when it comes to calling plays. So a lot of questions are out in Philly as well. I know I've got a few Eagles fans always listening. And Dave Naylor, he's live at Bills camp. He'll be by in the third hour. Talk a little Bills camp and for CFL Week 10, kind of touching on all the storylines. Of course, the big matchup, Trey Ford v. Jake Dolagala, Sunday at 5 here at Commonwealth.
Can't wait.
I'm calling it right now. The Elks are winning that game.
Yeah, I know.
No, they are. I'm very bullish on this, and I know BC where they are in the standings, but without Vernon Adams Jr., that's a different offense, different team. I think they'll get figured out maybe a bit, and I think what Trey Ford was cooking, I think somebody texted in, just let Trey Ford cook. I know we're all talking about our own cooking or whatever.
I know.
He's grilling with Ford or Trey.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever.
He's got a couple slabs on the grill.
Oh yeah, I'd eat anything he's cooking any day of the week. So I think with the momentum that they've garnered last week in Regina, I expect that to continue fully on Sunday against the Lions. But we'll have Dave's thoughts on that coming up in hour number 3. Quickly, a Coolbet Canada hotline of the day, Gager.
Yeah, no, just browsing Coolbet, coolbet.com. The boring match guarantee, the game of the day, Ottawa Red Blacks, Saskatchewan Roughriders, money line, Roughriders plus 144, Red Blacks minus 175. There's also just the Canadian special, so Canadian bacon. We're cooking with gas here.
You're sizzling.
So these are... Looking at these, I don't know. You're really, you got to spend money to make money, right? But so it's the parlay. No place like home. Ottawa Redblacks, Saskatchewan Roughriders. Money line is on the Redblacks. Argos, Stamps, money line Argos. Alouettes, Ticats. You got the money line is the Alouettes, and then Elks, Lions with the Elks.
Yeah.
Plus, it's moved a little bit. It's plus 586 right now.
Elks minus 1.5.
Minus 1.5
for the spread. So
it's, I don't know. It
go
makes it
there
exciting.
and-
You're going with the underdogs there, but it's close.
But certainly Coolbet.com is where you can find it, and the Canadian. What did you call it? The Canadian.
It's the no place like home Canadian bacon cooking home meal, right? Like we're tailgating with that parlay.
Gotta love it. Hop on CFL Week 10 and let the people at Coolbet help you out there. Have a lean, have a sprinkle, do whatever you want. Stay cool, bet responsibly at Coolbet.com. Engager, we thank you for that. No Draisaitl. They should almost have something on the day you can rate every single day, and then you pick whatever one, and you have the odd for the day of when that contract gets signed. I know Trev mentioned early September, so maybe a sprinkle there on a Draisaitl deal. But once again, Coolbet.com is where you can find all of that, and we thank them, our betting sponsors. Stay cool, bet responsibly with Coolbet. I'll hit a sports update right now. We'll be back with a little I Got Beef for Corey the Butcher and Acme Meats. I know we both... You got a beef as well, Trev? Or hiding right there? That's cool. That's cool. But yeah, Joaquin and I this is a kind of a... Some beef sometimes you're just like, okay, life's good. You know, sometimes we don't always have beef. You're kind of chewing on a beef jerky. This is like a pot roast of beef for me. Yeah, no, this is... I don't know. Do you watch The Bear at all? Have you watched The Bear? You know when in the first season where they're cooking the sandwiches, like the braised beef? Yeah.
I mean, doing that is fun.
That's the type of beef you have.
Yeah, and then you just kind of, you get the claws, you tear it apart.
Do you own a pair of those?
Oh, yeah. Have to.
Of course you do, yeah.
I pretend I'm Wolverine. Chase my wife around the house.
Do you put on the hat?
Yeah, I've got the whole suit.
It's the Nielson Show, 725, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, the iHeart TuneIn radio apps, and on YouTube. Sports update for the fine folks at Park Mazda. Riverhawks wrapping up the regular season last night with a 7-1 loss out in Nanaimo. Hawks will return home. They will host their first ever playoff game Saturday night from Remax Field. First pitch, 7 o'clock. Jays drop one to the Orioles 7-3. Rubber match of that series will go later today from Toronto. 5:07 first pitch. Canada capping the preliminary round at the Hlinka Gretzky with a 2-1 win over Sweden to finish 3-0. Canada will then now take on 2-1 USA tomorrow night in semifinals action. Puck drop 7:30. Sweden will take on Czechia tomorrow afternoon in the other semifinal. Over to the Paris Games, Canadian women's and men's 4x100-meter relay teams and shot put star Sarah Mitten all qualifying for event finals. They'll have a chance to compete for a podium spot later today. Alicia Newman winning Canada's first ever Olympic medal in women's pole vault, claiming bronze yesterday with a Canadian record height 4.85 meters. Over to football, Week 10 gets underway in the CFL tonight from Ottawa. Red Blacks and Rough Riders kick off 5:30. Elks are back home looking to make it 2 wins in a row. They'll host BC Sunday at 5. And Week 1 of the NFL preseason getting underway tonight. Giants host the Lions while Carolina visits New England. Sports update brought to you by the great staff at Park Mazda, including dealer principal Mitch Lewicki, where he's always got a grill hidden under his desk.
Hi there. If you're like me, you like to picture yourself in luxury, even though there's absolutely no way you could afford it. And if you can, well, even better. Thankfully, I picture myself in something that is luxury, but still absolutely affordable, like the all-new Mazda CX-90 from Park Mazda. With the new luxury features like facial recognition settings and quilted detail Napa leather seating, I can pretend to be comfortable with all of my proper settings activated without even touching the button, thanks to Mitch Lewicki and the great staff at Park Mazda. I like to picture Mitch Lewicki with like a giant eagle's wings and singing lead vocals for Leonard Skinner with like an angel band. And I'm in the crowd hammered drunk.
Park Mazda, your dealer for life in Sherwood Park off Y Road, parkmazda.ca.
Step closer to the hollow, the devil may care. If I showed you around my heart, would you mind if I shared too? Show you what's wrong with me. I will not change it. I will wait patiently while you get painted out. Let me into your untainted tribe to be the one who gets to live a lie. Oh, let me lie with you. I'll be a perfect stranger. I wanna be that stupid boy that you don't talk about. You better believe there's a sharp knife beside my bed. You better believe there's a sharp knife inside my head. And if you would leave, I would take you by the hand. You and I would leave, but it wouldn't be that bad.
7:29, The Nielson Show, EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Lieutenant Eric, Joaquin Gage in for Dustin Nielson, YouTube Trev handling the music, the sounds, and keeping it locked down behind the monitors. You can text anytime, 780-218-9999. That is the Paris Jewelers inbox. And come hard after that A&W text of the day as well. We got $20 on the line to A&W. They got their buy one, get one free right now for the frosted A&W root beer, any size, it's delicious. It'll beat the heat as it is going to start to warm up a bit. 22 for a high later today, nothing but sun. 23 Friday, 24 Saturday, and it goes on and on like that throughout the weekend, heading into Monday, highs in the mid to high 20s. So summer not going away just yet. Thank God. I like a good late summer. I mean, the sun, we get here, it's dark.
Oh, yeah.
Last night, you're sitting around watching Holinka Gretzky, and it's getting a little darker, too, and whatever. But as long as we're getting those daytime highs, baby, a little bit of sunshine,
I enjoy the early fall sitting on the deck. It's a little bit darker, right? The patio lights are on.
Yep.
Maybe there's a little blanket, the little fires
wasps
going.
are buzzing.
Yeah, no, it's nice. Hey, don't get me wrong. I love it when it's 11:30 at night and it's still light out. That's great. Yeah. But, the changing winter is coming.
You have to embrace the change, eh? We all know it. The best thing about here is you get the full 4.
Yeah.
Time. Like, you get it all. We get to live it all, and that's a beautiful thing. Want to let you know as well, Nielson Show brought to you by South Fort Chevrolet, www.southfortchev.com. You can save up to $12,000 on a new Tahoe or Suburban right now, or $14,000 on Silverado 1500s and HDs. If you also choose not to take the discount, you can get 0% financing on select trucks and SUVs on approved credit. So lots of options down there at South Fort Chev, www.southfortchev.com. Tell them EST sent you as well, and Daniel and Claire will get you where you need to be in a new Chev from South Fort Chev. We do got Scalding Hot Takes on the way in hour number 3. Dave Naylor as well, touching on Bills camp and Week 10 of the CFL, and Chris McPherson coming up shortly. PhiladelphiaEagles.com for the latest on the Birds down in Philly. But right now, I got beef for Corey the Butcher and Acme Meats. You can check them out in the Ritchie Market. We were talking about butcher blocks. I just learned today, too, that Trev's dad is a butcher. He didn't retire. He's still butchering, eh? That's what I learned this morning. Apologies if you told me in the past and it slipped my mind, but it was pretty nice. So, again, Corey the Butcher. Again, I grilled up those 2 ribeyes last night. Delicious. But you can check them out today. Ritchie Markets. Eat fresh, eat local, eat Acme. Serving Edmonton for over 100 years. 9570 75th Avenue. Joaquin Gage, your beef from today.
I got beef. I was listening to the Stacy Brotzel in the mornings on the way here. Right, it's
former
always
CTV
good.
Morning Live.
Yeah. It's nice to hear her voice. No, I got beef with ISIS, and
Okay. Well, that's unique.
So this is, I am really upset with ISIS right now. Not that I wasn't before, but I'm really, the Taylor Swift concert in Vienna was canceled because of terrorist threats from ISIS for the Swifties. And I mean, you want to go up against whatever you do, but
any nation state
you're going up against the Swifties here. But it just makes me upset because not that I was a Swiftie, but I obviously got caught up in the Kelsey kind of the love of it was great. But it gives you a glimpse into the Swiftie culture, and I have friends that went to Paris and London to see her concerts over there because actually it's cheaper to fly to Europe and go to
better.
those concerts.
Man.
And I can't imagine going to, like, Vienna is a gorgeous, gorgeous city, and these people, a lot of Canadians, a lot of people from the U.S. went over there with full intentions to go to one of these epic concerts, and to have it canceled, they're going to be refunded the money. But I just really if you're for unity and making things better in the world, there's few places that are really good. And I hate to say it, I think Taylor Swift concert's one of those places where it's an enjoyable time to be for a lot of people. And to rob that from people, thumbs down, ISIS. You blew it.
Well, and again, as you say, maybe biting off a little more than they can chew right now. I mean, you can take on a nation state, and that's fine. But when you're messing with the Swiftie culture and that throng of diehards,
yeah, you don't want to make them mad. So yeah, that's my beef this morning.
Erring on the side of caution is always nice, but you mentioned ISIS. I do find the people who really hate Taylor Swift or really kind of get triggered, shall we say, by her. There's a Venn diagram there, I think, with people from all over the world that you kind of can throw in. Again, she's never done anything bad to me.
No,
her and Jason Kelsey love each other.
Yeah.
I cool by me. You listen to whatever you want, but yeah, that sucks, and that's a lot of money. I mean, I'm doing the quick math or the somersaults in my head about getting out there, and I don't even want to. It'd make me puke. You know?
No, I mean, I was listening to it and even looking today, like. The price of tickets in Toronto are equivalent to flying to Vienna and watching it there. So, I mean, it's a little bit of a wash, but I mean, where do we talk about going and watching an F1 race? Most likely to Europe, right?
Yeah. Getting
that full experience. Vienna I've been there. It's spectacular. Every building's, you see a beautiful building, the next one's even more, it's just the scenery. The Schlutzgrafen is delicious.
You could probably sit on a mountain beside the stadium and watch for free. You know, that type of thing that the Swifties kind of get in.
Yeah, that sucks.
Smitty the Welder says cancel everything to do with Taylor Swift. See, this is my. I don't get where the. I don't get where that beef comes from.
Yeah.
Like, let her sing her songs. I went in Tuesday. I had the day off. I like having that buffer day before I travel back Monday. Tuesday you get to kind of get situated. I head out bright and early to the grocery store, my local grocery store that I go to. Usually it's the one closest to my house, which is nice and convenient. And it's the morning time, so there's me and a bunch of seniors, and it's nice. You got the music playing, the 90s hits, the lighting is perfect, bouncing off that linoleum. It's just all a beautiful thing. And slow walking, everybody's making their way around. That's good. I get to the deli counter. Just, again, normal day. Get to the deli counter. Wanted to buy my wife some sandwich meat. She likes a good Black Forest ham sandwich meat for the. So I walk up to the counter, and nobody's at the counter, and I hear a little coughing, loud, in the back, through the thing, and whatever. Okay, that's fine. And I'm kind of standing there, and finally somebody kind of saw me. So a lady walked out, and she walked out, and I'm the only one there, and she didn't say hi. And I used to work in a grocery store back in the day where you had to have the top button done up, clean shaven. You had to look everybody in the eye. Hello, sir. How are you doing today? What a marvelous day. Right? All that stuff. And if you didn't do that, you'd get written up. So I'm sitting at the deli counter. She walks out, doesn't say hi, and she's putting on the gloves. And so I initiate. I say, hello, may I please have some Black Forest ham? And she kind of gives me a look, like a very, and she looks tired at this point. And I'm like, okay, what's kind of going on here? And she starts walking to the ham. She doesn't ask me which. They usually, okay, what brand would you like? Whatever, exactly. No question there. So she gets into she's starting to grab the ham. And then I again, she hasn't said anything at this point. And I say, may I also please have that thin cut? I'm saying, may I please? I'm speaking in a very, me, I'm not a very gruff guy. Like I'm gonna, excuse me. And when I asked, can I have a thin cut? She looks up immediately and goes, what? And with a very disgusted look on her face. And I'm totally thrown back. Like,
Am I going to have to adjust the blade?
I thought I said something. Well, and usually I get it. Like, when you say that, it is kind of annoying, but that's the job, unfortunately. That's what you do. So you have to... And everybody asks for... Who asks for the thick cut? I think nobody asks for thick. Everybody's asking thin, so you just have it on the thin. But she's, what? And I was like, oh, pardon me. Can I please have it thin cut? She takes the ham to the slicer, slams it on there, does not thin cut it. She cuts me off about 4 pieces of ham, 100 grams. Boom, in the bag, slams it on the counter, turns around and walks away back to the back. And I go, Well, I guess that'll be it for today. And she turns around again, gives me a stare, and proceeds to stare me down out of the department as I walk away. I didn't know what to have. I was kind of like, you're in one of those instances where you think it's a just for laughs bit.
Yeah,
The camera's... I don't think I said anything. Then I go to pay. She's on her break or whatever, paying and I was like, at this point, I'm petrified of her because I didn't know what I did or what she's going to do to me. And then I thought to myself, I should probably say something. And not in a complaint way. I just thought, like, if she's having a bad day, maybe somebody should know, and you shouldn't be, handling the public at the counter. Didn't go to customer service, went home and phoned. I picked up the phone. Hello, customer service, blah, blah, blah. Can I speak to your manager, please? And I put it on like a real, and she's like, oh, yes, right away. So I put the manager on the phone. I was like, hey, nothing bad. I didn't want to, because again, I don't know. Maybe she's having a bad day. This is how I kind of work through issues in life. Maybe they're having, who knows?
Well, maybe she had tickets to Vienna to go see Taylor Swift.
That's probably the case. She knew about the attack happening ahead of time.
Damn ISIS.
But he just said, what's the deal with this? Customer service, man, where is it? And I know Corey the Butcher's got it in, that's no questions there. So you go down to Acme and they'll treat you right at that Butcher's Block encounter. But I am and then so yesterday, I on the way home, I went to a different grocery store here in the area. People are smiling. Everybody's happy. I even signed up for a card. So, I have been bought. I have switched. I was a bit of a free agent for a few hours between Tuesday and yesterday. But it feels good. If you're in a situation where people are, mean and mad all the time, just simply take yourself out of it and go somewhere else. I've never felt better. And I think the situation is good. The decision was made. I'm not going back. But I just hope she's okay. I just wonder. You see a bad driver on the street. It's like maybe they're having a bad day. There's a bit of that going on. But
and you want to make sure people are okay.
Well, that's what I wanted first off. It wasn't more of a complaint, but I just had beef with that shrill customer service.
Awful.
Nasty chat buzzing here. If you have any customer service. YTT, did you lay down
from
the law
top
again?
ropes? Yeah, I just the spam. It's just don't spam. Don't
was he
spam.
spamming on Draisaitl, or was it my customer
just,
service?
Just being
story?
and going to a cottage. Period. Send. It'll be fun. Send.
Doesn't know
with
how
the
to,
family. Send. It's like, if you're gonna just do it all in one, paragraph. No, not just one thought. Send. It's frustrating. Fazilla, I'm sorry. I don't want to do it, but I know not a lot of people are entertained by your comments,
well, you
including
do it,
myself.
The people want it, and you act for the people. And that's
so
what needed to be done.
Come again tomorrow, and just smarten up. That's it. I got beef with Fazilla Moose.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't like doing it. I'm a nice guy, and you make me do all this. I feel terrible. I do, but at the same time, it's also kind of funny. But I don't know. Just send paragraphs. Don't spam.
Here's a paragraph from Atif. Boys, I have beef. I'm a nice guy. I swear I'm going to lose it on an old lady. I go to this Hortons by my work twice a week. Old lady stands at the counter, does not know what she wants. She asks lots of questions, takes forever. I just want to order and go. You guys have any advice before I snap on her, Atif?
Do it on the. Can't you do it on the app?
Yeah, you should be. And then you just queue up to the waiting.
There's ways around that. That's that's a pet peeve of mine. Standing in line and then you get to them, the person looks up and goes,
Don't kindly say the person behind. Hey, you go.
Yeah.
At least I'd rather have that inside than in the drive-through where you can't escape.
Unfortunately, I find that we've become a little bit less in tune to our neighbors, the proximity to other people in social places. I went to the 90th Street Costco over the weekend, and there was everyone was in it for themselves. There was just no personal space, and I don't care if I'm in your way. Deal with it. That's kind of, and I don't know what's happened to us and maybe it's a year off of not having social interactions, and we forget.
We got a little loose.
Yeah,
a little loose there.
And we're still trying. So let's, you know what? Let's make sure when you're out today. This is my as a judge. I'm gonna say that be kind to one person in some respect, or let someone's take your parking spot, or letting you're not decided in the line at Tim Hortons or whatever.
Think of it as a video game. You get those points back. Like you're doing good, and then you get a point. You should anyways. That's kind of how
I guess try to make someone else smile today. That's what we're doing.
Good advice and great beefs from everybody involved as well. And we thank Corey the Butcher and Acme Meat for supplying the I Got Beef segment. Corey was asking if you've ever had chewed on the beef during the segment. So he might have a little plan for you leading up to future shows.
We had the
jerky gate.
I've stolen enough meat from here, and the first one wasn't my fault. It was laid out, and it was just there. Yeah, I ate a lot of it, but it was good.
Yeah.
And then I went in to see Corey, and he actually gave me the EST show meat, the bundle to take home.
He trusted you at the bundle after jerky gate.
But then I got meat thiefed by my son. He went into it in the fridge and took it downstairs and started slaying noobs. And what does he play? For Honor.
Noobs.
Yeah, he's a big For Honor guy.
You're meat and slaying noobs.
Yeah, eating meat, slaying noobs.
Siggy said he's got beef with people that don't know how to merge in traffic. People becoming more selfish, please stop. Yes, I think we're all in agreement on that, and that's a good lesson here to carry through your day. Give a smile, help somebody out, and respect some space here. Why not? We'll move on to the business portion of the show. We continue our NFL previews right now. Chris McPherson will join us. He's also been on in the past, a few years back. PhiladelphiaEagles.com, covering the Eagles. You can follow him on Twitter. CMAC Eagles is the handle. Eagles will visit the Ravens tomorrow at 5:30, kicking off their preseason schedule. But Chris, once again, welcome back to the program. We'll just get into this right off the hop here. Some new play caller again for Jalen Hurts. Early days, but how do you think the new scheme is kind of coming along? Hurts, Sirianni, and co down there in Philly.
Yeah, no, good morning to you guys. I was enjoying the tail end of that conversation. You'll be starving. It's only like 9:45 on the East Coast in Philadelphia. Craving lunch already. But I think it's been a good marriage so far between Jalen Hurts and Kellen Moore. And by my eyes, and I think most people you would talk to and coaches in the building, they'll tell you that, Jalen Hurts has been phenomenal in training camp, has taken tremendous care of the football. The defense has struggled to get any turnovers whatsoever. And again, it's a young and exciting defensive group, so it's not, completely on them, but Jalen Hurts has just been that good. The marriage so far between Kellen Moore, who's brought a lot more motion, you're going to see a lot more under center with the Eagles this season, and there's going to be a lot more on Jalen Hurts' plate in terms of deciphering what's going on at the line of scrimmage, because he no longer has a Hall of Fame center in Jason Kelce. I'm sure everyone has heard or has seen him out there, because you can't miss him between his podcast and the tabloids at this point. But that was a big responsibility that Jason Kelce had, and one of the reasons he was so good at his job, and more of that is going to fall onto Jalen Hurts' plate this season. But so far, so good. Again, a phenomenal training camp, arguably his best training camp since he's come into the NFL. And the marriage so far between Kellen Moore, a veteran coordinator, and Hurts has been a good one.
Well, I wanted to just follow up with that on the Kelce, him out of the picture now. How does that affect this team both on and off the field in terms of what he brought, leadership role and all that, and how are they looking to fill that both positionally and, just guy in the room, so to speak?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because he's obviously not on the field, but he has been in the building throughout the offseason. I think there was a story about how he has the stall in the coach's locker room, but he's also been attending practices since coming back from the Olympics, so his presence is around. But Cam Jurgens, you guys were talking about beef and jerky. He actually has his own jerky line, believe it or not, so I'll give him a little plug there. But third-year center out of Nebraska has basically been the understudy to Kelce, knowing that he was going to take over this position at some point. And the thing that's impressed me the most about Jurgens is he has the athleticism. The players talk about he's a natural center, that he's filling in that role just fine. But from a personality standpoint, he doesn't seem overwhelmed by having to fill in Jason Kelce's shoes, because, Philadelphia is so interesting and unique, where an offensive lineman can become the face of the team, can become the most popular player. When you see the jerseys at practices, tons of people still have Kelce T-shirts, jerseys, what have you. Obviously, the Super Bowl parade having a huge part of it, but just because Kelsey is so relatable to the community that he's just been, a once in a lifetime person and player for this organization. But Jurgens doesn't seem overwhelmed by the moment, and I think he's going to transition quite nicely. Obviously, you're losing again one of the all-time greats, but from a leadership standpoint, the Eagles extended a lot of contracts this offseason. Guys like Landon Dickerson at guard, Jordan Mailata offensive tackle, your two-star receivers in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Those guys are going to pick up the slack. I think it's going to be a collective effort. You still have a guy in Brandon Graham on the defensive side of the ball who's the longest tenured player going into his 15th season. This is his last campaign, and he kind of is in that same boat where he's kind of overseeing the transition to the next generation. So the Eagles knew that this was coming. I mean, every year you had Nick Sirianni sending kegs to Jason Kelsey's house just to say, just give us one more year. Make it one more year, big guy. Come on. We keep it going here. So they've been preparing for this. It's going to be obviously a different feel, a different look. But overall, though, the Eagles and the players, I think, have done as much as they can. Obviously, when the adversity comes during the season, that's going to be the big test. But right now, the Eagles have done as much as they can to prepare for this transition.
You mentioned just the adversity. Looking at the Eagles last year, just from memory, it seemed like they were destined to get back to the Super Bowl, and then the second half of the season kind of falling apart on them a little bit. How important is the start, especially now with Sirianni and Hurts? Their relationship seems to be mended. How important is it for this team to get off to a good start, to kind of with all the changes in the coaching staff and just getting that, losing the Hall of Fame presence? It seems like he's still going to be around, but what do you see from this team from the start of the year, just to kind of squash all the rumors and the negativity that happened at the latter part of last season?
That's a great question, and obviously, as we inch closer to the start of the regular season, I'm sure that is going to be a big storyline. That as much as the guys talk about putting this in the rearview mirror, certainly when they open the season in a unique fashion, it's going to be the first ever game in South America. It's going to be a Friday night showcase against an outstanding young and upcoming team against the Green Bay Packers. So there's going to be great storylines just for the game itself, and that doesn't include all the background with being in such an unfamiliar place in Brazil. So, and the game is going to be in the national spotlight. So this team is extremely talented, and the talent is still there from last season. They've added to it on both sides of the ball. You look at the defense where they've obviously added a veteran coordinator in Vic Fangio, but then you're bringing in playmaking talents like Devin White to add to the mix there on that side of the ball. The talent is there. Certainly from a chemistry standpoint, whatever happened last year, I think the guys have done the right thing in terms of turning the page. And, they talk about, being sick of talking about it and all that type of stuff. I think that this camp, has been largely refreshing because there really has not been any drama. There's no major injuries at this point. There's no contract situations they're trying to meddle out. It's obviously new schemes on both the offensive and defensive sides of the football, but by and large, though, this group has done a good job of coming together and gelling together to get themselves focused and with the eyes looking forward at the 2024 campaign. But to your point there, it is a good point that, this is a team that has started fast out of the gate the last two seasons, and they've done a great job. I think Nick Sirianni has won all three of his season openers, so he knows how to get a team prepared for the beginning part of the season. But there is going to be that little bit of cloud looking over to be kind of like, okay, how is this all going to look? Because you have so many new things coming together at one time that sometimes it takes teams a little bit longer to get things started. But to me, it's going to be a big thing to see, do the stars play well? And if we talk about Jalen Hurts, we talked about A.J. Brown, you have Saquon Barkley now at running back. It's the floor is just so high with this football team because of the talent that this team has and the depth that this team has, that if those guys go out and do their jobs in week 1 and week 2, week 3, early on in the season, they have a Monday nighter against Atlanta week 2, they will be in a good position. And maybe, again, the ball bounces weird and things can happen in the NFL, but overall, that as long as the team is playing the way that you would expect them to play and the stars play their potential, this team should be in a good position early on in the season to help further get past all that transpired at the end of last season.
Chris McPherson joining us on the Nielson Show. Lieutenant Eric Joaquin Gage with you. You can follow him on Twitter at CMAC from PhiladelphiaEagles.com. A two-pronged one here for you, Chris, and it was a listener question here. T-Mac, the rugby guy, asks, can you ask Chris about the Eagles' cornerback battle? And I also wanted to get your thoughts on wide receiver 3 battle through camp. What can you tell us on both of those fronts? Anything developing throughout the early days here?
Great. Both great questions there. I'll start with, so obviously you've talked a lot at wide receiver with, AJ and Devontae. So number 3, I would say the guy to really watch right now is Johnny Wilson, a rookie out of Florida State with a freakishly huge wingspan. He's 6'6", but he moves so well. Usually the taller receivers are very stiff, and that's why they don't translate as well, even though you say, the guy's 6'4", just throw it up to him, he'll catch it. But, quarterbacks can give them problems off the line of scrimmage just because they don't bend and move well. That's not the case with Wilson, and he worked out with Jalen Hurts prior to training camp, and Jalen Hurts has a lot of trust in him and is going to him in one-on-one situations, is trying fade balls with them in the red zone, is really trying to bring him along quickly. Some of the other guys to watch there, Britton Covey, who is more of your typical slot, quick, speedy guy. He's been an outstanding returner for the team for the past couple seasons, but he catches everything that comes his way. He's fighting for an increased role. Paris Campbell, veteran who was a former second-round pick out of Ohio State, he's battling an injury right now, so he hasn't been able to really stand out as much. But in the last week or so, I would say the two guys have really started to really separate themselves. There have been Johnny Wilson and Britton Covey, and you also have a veteran in John Ross in the mix as well, who used to have the fastest time ever at the NFL Combine that was just shattered this season. Going to the cornerback position, they use their first 2 picks at the position with Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo and then Cooper DeJean out of Iowa. DeJean hasn't been able to get on the field yet due to a hamstring injury, but the Eagles see him as a versatile piece that can play multiple positions in the back end of the defense. Mitchell, believe it or not, has been utilized as the first-team slot corner. Because opposite of Darius Slay, who annual Pro Bowler, team captain, going into his 12th or 13th season in the NFL, you have Keely Ringo, who's a former third-round pick of this team, or fourth-round pick last year, but the Eagles actually used a third this year to move up to get him. But the surprise guy has been Isaiah Rodgers. So Isaiah Rodgers missed all of 2023 because he violated the NFL gambling rules. Had to miss the whole year, but the Eagles acquired him after he was cut by the Colts, basically stashing him for the season, knowing that they believed in the talent, they liked what they saw on tape, and they thought, okay, if this guy comes back and can get himself into shape and all that stuff, maybe we have a little under-the-radar gem. I mean, this guy really, really pushed himself during the year away from football and has been a man on a mission trying to make the most of his second chance. He spoke to the team about the mistakes he made and how it's not worth it. Which really inspired a lot of the guys in the room because they have to go through the gambling training every year. But Isaiah Rodgers is quick, speedy, feisty. He's been given, the starting receivers fits all throughout camp. So it's pretty much been Keely Ringo and Isaiah Rodgers. But in the last week or so, it's been Isaiah Rodgers primarily working with that first team unit. But the Eagles are trying to find a way as much as possible to get the first-round pick, Quinyon Mitchell, out on the field as well, even if it's in the nickel slot position, which I think most people, even the Eagles, didn't maybe anticipate when they first selected him back in April.
Well, let's get to the most important part of Philadelphia sports lore. I mean, it's basically a Pavlov's dog kind of show that we're doing here. We try to keep our listeners salivating for sports and for food. Let's go Philly cheesesteaks. Where do we get these things in Philadelphia if we're down there? Are we going peppers, onions, provolone? Where's the best place, and how do you like your Philly cheesesteak?
Wow, let's see. Okay, it's a big one. See, quite honestly, if you talk to most people, okay, your corner store, your local pizza store, honestly, is most of the time one of the better places.
Okay.
Certainly, if you're doing the tourist thing, you want to do the Pats, the Genos, the gyms. The Pats and Genos are right next to each other, so you get a 2-for-1 right there. And it's just such a vibrant community that you have to experience it just for that alone. Gyms, which is on South Street, another tourist staple, but that of the three would be my favorite of them. In terms of how I'm getting mine made, let's see. I'm doing American wit, which is with onions. You say wit or without. So American wit. So you get the onions. I throw ketchup on mine. Some people might think that's a bit of a faux pas.
Wow.
But I'm going to throw this at you. I'm going to throw this at you guys. So I know everybody talks about the cheesesteak. That's like the staple. All that. The roast pork is probably, if not right there, maybe even a little better. And there's a little stand. If you guys ever come out, let me know. There's a place called John's Roast Pork. It's literally a shack. It's just a little shack that they serve these humongous sandwich. I mean, you can eat. It'll take you 2 meals to eat one sandwich. It is gargantuan and it's phenomenal. But you get the roast pork dripping on there. You heard this conversation about steak in the beginning before I came on, and we're talking roast pork sandwiches now. Like I said, it's not even 10 o'clock, and I'm starving out here. So I know everybody's talking about cheesesteak. I don't know. I'm probably more of a roast pork guy myself, and a lot of people like to do the broccoli rabe with it as well. So,
Chris, I quickly Googled Philly roast pork sandwich, and John smacked me right in the face. So, truth be told, that must be the place, eh?
It's phenomenal. It's absolutely outstanding. So, and again, you'll drive past it like 3 or 4 times because you're like, where is it at? And it's like the corner of the road in front of a shopping center. Yeah, it's not exactly the place where you think you're going to get this outstanding sandwich, but never disappoints whatsoever.
Chris, I want to thank you very much for your time during what's starting off a busy season for you guys. I guess it never really ends, but thanks for your time. Enjoy the rest of the preseason and the regular season to come, man.
I certainly will. Hopefully we'll talk soon down the line after I expect the Eagles to get off to a hot start. So, and definitely I'll make sure I get a sandwich in the next week or two so we can discuss that further down the line as well.
Stay hungry, Chris. Stay hungry. There you go. Chris McPherson.
All right. Thanks, gentlemen.
PhiladelphiaEagles.com. You can find him on Twitter or X at CMAC does a bang-up job there. And for all Eagles fans listening, I know T-Mac, the rugby guy, hopefully he answered your cornerback battle as well. It's a funny little market, hey? I mean, it's throwing batteries at Santa Claus, the whole bit. You got the food, everything like that. The Philly, where it's situated. Even that division, I mean, we didn't get too much to Saquon Barkley, but how weird does it seem him too? And Eagles, I mean, he could have came from the Broncos. Nobody would care, but it's the Giants, the Eagles, and such a thing. But it should be interesting. Now, that division's always fun to watch. Nice not having a horse in it. You can kind of just watch them all go at it, and none of them really do anything.
I wasn't a huge Eagles fan as a kid because I was a Cowboys fan. I loved Tony Dorsett and the rivalry there, Cowboys-Eagles. But Ron Jaworski, there's the lore of Philadelphia. But I love the fact that he says your best bet for a cheesesteak is go to your local little corner store. They have a grill in your corner store. They have
to have 4 leaks from the roof. Like there has to be buckets holding as crappy as you can get. And I like he hit me with that roast pork sandwich. That was okay.
Well, now we have to look for a roast pork sandwich, Trev.
But exactly. That's Red says though ketchup. WTF? That's spun. I think it spun all of our necks here.
It was a little interesting. Hey, you know what? Sometimes you got to throw a little A1 on there, I guess.
We'll sweeten it up a bit. It is 8:01. We will transition to the third hour of the show. Kind of easy trivia coming up next. You know what that means. Your chance at a gift certificate from Mr. Mike's Steakhouse Casual. We just keep getting on the steaks. Hey, can't get away from it this morning. If you want to head out to Mr. Mike's, who grill up a great steak as well. You can get it done anyway. Great sides as well. But Mr. Mike's Steakhouse Casual, you want to head there. Text in right now, I want to play trivia, 780-218-9999. Once again, text in to Trev. He'll pick one of you. I want to play trivia, 780-218-9999. Kind of easy trivia coming up next. Gager's got the questions, so you know you'll be off to Mr. Mike's. 3 questions too many as well. That's coming up on the way ahead of Hot Takes, Dave Naylor from Bill's Camp, and the wrap for William Huff, all in a busy hour number 3. We'll hit a sports update for Clayburn Services. Once again, if you want to play trivia, text in 780-218-9999. I want to play. And, YouTube Trev will hit you up. Maybe say, hey, Trev, your curry looked good. Something like that on the text line. You got to juice it up there. But 780-218-9999. Text in right now if you want to play trivia. Coming up next, Lieutenant Eric, Joaquin Gage, YouTube Trev. It's the Nielson Show, EdmontonSportsTalk.com. On the diamond last night, it was a game you heard live on Edmonton Sports Talk as the Riverhawks wrapped up the regular season with a 7-1 loss to the Nanaimo Night Owls. The Hawks will be back home and host their first ever playoff game Saturday night from Remax Field. First pitch, 7 o'clock. Jays drop one of the Orioles 7-3. The rubber match of that series will go later today at 5:07. Over to the Hlinka Gretzky, where Canada capped the preliminary round with a 2-1 victory over Sweden. Finishing up with a 3-0 record, Canada will now take on the 2-1 Americans tomorrow night in semifinals action. Puck drop 7:30. Sweden will battle Czechia tomorrow afternoon in the other semifinal. Over to Paris, the Canadian women's and men's 4x100-meter relay teams and shot put star Sarah Minton all qualifying for event finals. They'll have a chance to compete for a podium spot later today. Alicia Newman, meanwhile, winning Canada's first ever Olympic medal in women's pole vault. She notched bronze yesterday with a Canadian record height of 4.85 meters. Over to football, Week 10 of the CFL gets underway tonight from Ottawa. It's the Red Blacks hosting a banged-up Rough Riders squad. Kickoff 5:30. The Elks are back home looking to make it 2 straight wins. They'll welcome in the BC Lions Sunday at 5. And NFL preseason kicking off tonight, Week 1, with a pair of games. The Giants host the Lions, while Carolina visits New England. Sports Update brought to you by Claiborne Services. Take your career to the next level with Claiborne Services. They are currently hiring all positions, including journeyman bricklayers and apprentices of all levels. Take advantage of their outstanding mentorship program and work with peace of mind, knowing that they are an industry leader in safety. For more, you can check out www.claiborneservices.com or make it easy on yourself. Phone Jeff, 780-910-6728.
The Nielson Show, featuring Lieutenant Eric. Only on Edmonton Sports Talk.
It's 8:05 on a Thursday morning. I do believe we have some blinds. I'm squinting out. It looks pretty bright out there. Hey, it doesn't look too smoky or anything like that. Forecast calling for mainly sunny skies today, a high of 22, so a bit of a chillier start to the day, but things will warm up into the afternoon. And actually, as the week moves on as well, Friday 23, 24 Saturday, and 26 on Sunday. So nice evening and weekend for some Riverhawks playoff action as well. Elks on Sunday should be a beautiful day there. So no real excuse to be not found at these two ballparks coming up here on the weekend. So pretty nice weekend on tap in Edmonton and area. You're with Lieutenant Eric, Joaquin Gage in for Dustin Nielson, who has the call with the Hlinka Gretzky tournament on TSN, and YouTube Trev, who just wrangled in a contestant for Kinda Easy Trivia, and that'll be coming up now. We're going to get right into it here because we have a busy third hour on the way. Kinda Easy Trivia brought to you by Mr. Mike Steakhouse Casual, the casualest place ever in the Hampton Inn, corner of 137th Avenue, Mark Messier Trail. You can check them out today, and our next contestant will have a chance to get there with a little Mr. Mike's credits. Who do we got on line, Trev?
Nasties, give it up for Matt. Let's go, Matt. How's it going, Matt? Let's go.
Matt, you don't have to tell me, but is your last name Iwanek?
Absolutely not.
Very convincing. Yeah, I love it. So Matt's going to play. Have you played before, Matt, on the new program or elsewhere?
Not on the new program. I played on 1260.
Okay, we carry the records over, so that's good. I assume it's blemish-free and you're batting 1,000?
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Love it. So you know how we do. Gager's going to read the first question. YouTube Trev will start the ticker after that, and you need 3 out of 5, man. Good luck.
Okay.
All right, Matt. Alicia Newman won the bronze medal in the pole vault. Yes, true or false?
True.
Did Andre DeGrasse qualify for the 200-meter final?
No.
Canada's U17 beat Sweden 2-1 yesterday.
Yes.
What Edmonton sports franchise will play its first ever playoff game Saturday?
The basketball team.
The best cut of beef is what? Ribeye or New York strip?
Ribeye.
He's in there. 4 out of 5.
This gets a nipple erection.
Oh, is that dirty?
This is not just a dream, it's a wet dream of Orgasmic proportions.
Oh, is that dirty?
Frustration sets in and the emotion goes out, and then you just start playing by yourself.
Oh, is that dirty?
You cannot come to my house. No, not today.
You cannot come to my house. No, not today.
Matt's going on Mr. Mike Steakhouse Casual. Listen, that was a nice, good questions. You mixed in a little Olympics there, but I like the opinionated one at the end where you can kind of just, there's a bit of a freeing going on there. You kind of
I'm unclear if Trev has access to Roseanne or not, and
yeah,
it's
so the worst thing is about when he fails, you don't have a Roseanne to even go to, and it's just silence. We sit here silence for 2 minutes. Nobody wants that.
Yeah,
but it was Riverhawks the answer to that playoff question.
Yeah, no, that was the one. I mean, it's kind of a 50-50-er. Unfortunately, the Stingers went out last weekend.
Yeah, I know
that's
wasn't
tough.
around for that, but I didn't expect them. I at least thought they would get past that round.
Yeah,
I think most people were.
Yeah, I think that was kind of like men's basketball, kind of a little bit of disappointment.
Yeah. Coming up a little short maybe than expectation. Spency 5 cents, he says, correct, ribeye is the best cut in the nasty chat with a sunglasses cool guy emoji. So, yeah, I mean, let the debate continue. Ray John, of course, it was my weekly rankings of power, hour number 1, best cuts of steak, but we don't need to go there. Tyler in Terwilliger says, loving these NFL team previews, can't wait for the Saints, hashtag who dat. Look, I'll give you some Saints. I don't know about tomorrow. We're a little packed as it is already with everything going on around here. But if you have a team, a specific team that you'd like previewed maybe ahead in the queue than the others, let us know, and we'll do our best to track some people down. We got connections in most markets, so we'll like to make something happen for you, the listener/viewer.
Tyler, I'll just meet you at the pop-up park, and we'll discuss Saints together.
Oh?
I've met him in the wild.
Oh, is that what it is? Yeah, okay. I like that. Yeah. So anybody else, I mean, if you ever, I know T-Mac the rugby guy, hard on the Eagles today, but any other NFL previews that you would specifically like on the show, please let us know. DM us, text in, whatever it is. Once again, Dave Naylor will be joining us around 8:30. Scalding Hall takes it around 8:20, so we'll get into 3 questions too many right now. It's brought to you by the great staff at Park Mazda and dealer principal Mitch Lewicki, who likes every single cut of beef, and the prime rib is always well done at Park Mazda. You can check them out today.
Yeah.
ParkMazda.ca. Also, Park Mazda out in the park if you want to get there physically and talk to Mitch. Boys, social medias, where can people find you again? Joaquin Gage.
Joaquin Gage 31 on X, Twitter. Joaquin Gage on Instagram. Or check out my business website, www.k4financial, letter K, number 4, financial.ca. We've got some still going on our summer planning deals, so reach out today.
Trev, where can people find that meal that you cooked last night?
You can find that meal at on Twitter. You can follow me at YouTube_Trev. I got 10 followers yesterday, 10 new followers.
Ooh.
I'm coming for you, glue guy.
Yeah, what's the count now
Ricky
between the
Booby.
two of you?
I think he's ahead of me by like 100 still. He's chugging along.
But you're having an
But I'm
opportunity
at
every
pace
morning.
with him.
Yeah.
So I need one big tweet or something to really get me out there. Well, maybe I'll do something crazy. I don't know. But yeah, we're racing. If you didn't know, Nasty's, Glue Guy, and myself, we're racing to 1,000. Who can reach 1,000 followers faster? So yeah, give us both the follow, actually. I don't know what Glue Guy's handle is, but I'm sure you can find it at Edmonton Sports. Jason Milne. Yeah. Give him a follow as well.
Yeah. No, that's really good of
me,
you. But let the games begin. It's a fair race. And you have the show every morning where you can promote it, whereas he's doing his other stuff, which is fine. But he'll be obviously with Reed Wilkins here coming up in the fall, September, and that'll be the dawning of a new day here, celebrating a 1 year for EST.
Yes.
And what better way to celebrate with a new afternoon show as well, 3 to 6 with Reed Wilkins. It's going to be great.
I was looking through some old pictures too, like the wrap wasn't William Huff didn't have the stuff up yet.
Yeah.
It was very white
feels
walls.
like yesterday.
I know, crazy. Hey, 1 year, jeez. What's the actual date?
6?
6?
Yeah.
September
6th.
September 6th. Hey, that's cool.
Because we know I'll tell you later. But yes, follow these two gentlemen on Twitter, Instagram, wherever it is. Give them some likes, and especially Trev for that follower account against Jason Milne. Question: what's it?
Surveyor Brett right now. Glue Guy 813, YTT 709.
Okay, so that's a good.
So I'm down by a little bit, but I'm
100
not out.
change, but no, it's nothing unattainable, certainly with the time that you have on your side here. I like you getting that before Jason hits the air with Reed on their first show. You should be able to, I think. Yeah.
You're 1 foot photo away from tying
That's
this thing
what it
up.
is. That's
Let's
what
see
it
those
is.
hands.
Let him out. Let him out.
Yeah. Question 1, boys. This comes in from Shane and Vac Truck. Unpopular opinion, but I can't stand the name of Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Now, there's history behind that, right? It was called Chris's Steakhouse. Ruth bought it or something like that. But I guess the question coming out of this is, and it does bother a lot of people because the Ruth's Chris, it's kind of fun to say, actually. It's good advertising. But if you were starting a steakhouse today, yourself, Joaquin, YouTube Trev, what are you calling your steakhouse?
Puck stoppers.
Puck stoppers. One word.
That's good. Damn it.
Are you specializing in are you, would it be like a steak, but more of like a barbecue Southern feel? Or
I would have the big offset cookers in the back and have barbecue.
Park bench seating type of thing?
It's a very relaxed atmosphere, I think.
I guess I'd stick to the roots. I'd just go above average steaks. They're above average.
That's not bad. And then you have your YouTube channel playing constantly.
Also
on the TVs
subscribe.
around the bar. Yeah, I don't mind that at all.
What about yourself? What would
I would call it Lieutenant Eric's famous steak and wonton loft. And then I would sell steak and wontons, and I would call it the Ed Monton, right? The famous Ed Wonton, and you could get, and then steaks aside with it. I thought of me and my buddy in college. We created a bunch of, when Facebook was kind of like you could do whatever you wanted. Yeah. We created a bunch of these fictional restaurants, and they're still around. The Scandinavian Sportsman's Lounge, where it's like very warm in there, and we sell just raw fish. I've always had these fantasies about like really wacky restaurants, but Lieutenant Eric's famous steak and wonton lounge. Featuring the Ed Wonton, famous Ed Wonton. People would flock from around the world to try the Ed Wonton. Nice. If I had the money, but
I like it. That's good.
This comes in from Martin. LTE, seriously, check out this hit on Ron Jarowski. Can't hit like that anymore. And we were talking about this Jaws hit or whatever. What is the biggest hit, hockey or football or otherwise, that you've ever witnessed in sports to date? I know this is a loaded question. You might take some time to think about it and kind of get that memory marinating a bit. But play along as well in the nasty chat or Paris Jewelers inbox, 780-218-9999. Like, we had a junior game once, and some, plug just kind of annihilates somebody. I know it's both hockey and football. You're not seeing those hits like they used to be. But
no.
Anything back in the day from your playing days that you can kind of, you still shudder when you think about it?
I tell this story a lot. One of the best hockey players I played against, and we went to Alpha Maury College in Notre Dame. His name was Shane Peacock. Okay. He lives in town here. He was playing football as a 16-year-old on a high school team, which I thought was pretty fascinating. Like, we were smaller then. And I remember the day because he was still playing football at Notre Dame, and hockey didn't start till after Canadian Thanksgiving. And we were already 2 weeks into kind of tryouts for the AAA Bantam team.
Yep.
And Shane came out 2 weeks later, and he hadn't been to a practice yet. And I was like, who is this guy? Like, why is he out? We've been busting our butts for 2 weeks. This guy just can show up when he wants. I'm thinking, and a kid came over the middle, and he blew this kid up. And I mean, it was a full yard sale. Elbow pads, shin pads, like blades of skate, broke the stick, gloves. Like, this kid, I think he went home. I didn't know who this kid was after. I go, oh, that's why he's out here right now. And then obviously the next year he was quarterbacking the Lethbridge Hurricanes power play as a 16-year-old at that point, right? So phenomenal player, long career in Germany, one of my best, greatest friends. But that was by far one of the biggest hits I've ever seen. I have another one, actually, that people will recognize a little bit more, was Ryan Smith. His first year, didn't play at all. When we were down in Tampa playing, Enrico Ciccone, I'll never forget this.
Enrico Ciccone.
Yeah, but the old song, this is really dating, that's called Rico Suave, and he'd get on the ice, and they'd just play the song back then. They were in the old baseball stadium, like it was like $2 a ticket. And Smitty, he was just trying to figure out it's a great lesson for hockey players because he was more of a perimeter guy in junior, I would say, and he had to figure out what was going to make him successful in the NHL. Like if you were to watch Smitty, the junior player, to Smitty, the NHL player, you would say that's not the same person.
You have to find kind of what the niche to make
Yeah,
the best. Yeah.
And someone came over the middle, and Smitty blew him up. Like, unreal hit. I'd never seen him hit a guy that hard, and he never missed a shift after that. Ron Lowe was like, I love it. And that was his I still say that was the turning point in his career because he did that hit and he got another shift.
Well, you don't make that hit, then where does
where does it go from there?
The domino effect.
And I mean, he probably would have become a great player, but I really think
you get your opportunities based on those moments. Eh?
Exactly.
So interesting. I mean, a lot of texts coming in. Pick any Scott Stevens hit. Somebody says
Scott Stevens.
Yeah, and the Paul Correa 2003.
Yeah,
that was
the Lindros
disturbing.
one.
Yeah, Lindros. My brother chimes in, Lucas, Craig Butler and Buck Pierce, Labor Day 2011. That was hellacious. Helmet right under the chin there. They slowed it down on the TSN replay. Picturesque. Anything by Scott Stevens. Lethbridge Hurricanes legend Pat chimes. Okay. Trev, that's Scott Stevens for you. Is that your vote?
That was the only one I can think of. I remember my bro actually. We were on the team. We played hockey together growing up, and we were in a tournament. And pretty nice guy, but every now and then he could level. Like he's really good at hitting, surprisingly. And you wouldn't think of that because like he likes Pokemon. He's kind of a nerd.
Oh yeah.
But I remember we were in this tournament, and it was like the only hit that I can remember playing hockey where the whole crowd was like, ooh, like you just heard like, and I remember the coaches, the players on the other, and this kid was out. I think he broke his collarbone. I'm pretty sure because we were in the same hotel, but he was out. He was done for the tournament. And I was just like, I was proud of my bro, but I was like, damn, like I didn't know you could do that. Yeah. Like that was, so that's the only one I could think of that I saw personally.
It's too bad you don't see those. I mean, the game of hockey is so fast now, and I don't find Trouba too dirty a player. Like, I know he's on the edge a little bit, but a lot of the hits he does are clean. Like he's looking.
Yeah, you're just not used to them in the modern game and the speed that kind of.
And it was awful playing in Europe because at times if you hit a guy too hard, it's a penalty, right? Like it's just the way it is.
The Wolf says, biggest hit I've ever seen has to be Terry Tate, office linebacker. If you remember those commercials. Steve didn't have the reports in on time. Bam! Right into the filing cabinet. Biggest hit I've ever seen. I was waiting for this name to come in. Steve McIntyre.
Oh.
It wasn't even a hit, this person says. Biggest hit I've seen was Steve McIntyre's left hand to a Ratis Avenan's jaw. Man, Steve McIntyre, and playing for the Blades, like at that time, when you'd square off against a fight with somebody, they'd take not only their gloves off, but their helmets.
Yeah.
Like it was that, and it was like, and he would, I mean, come as close to murder on the ice as you could to some guys, like just totally beat them down. Hordichuk as well was another guy that you'd go to Blades games growing up, and in junior hockey, he would just, I mean, he was sent over the boards to just hit people, and you knew it was price of admission. You'd go there to watch him run around. The team sucked, but his eyes were just like dish plates, and he would go out there to kill.
Are you too young to remember Kevin Kamensky at all?
No,
okay, killer, obviously.
Killer Kamensky. And Quan Bolden getting his face broken in garbage time, or Steve Downey on Dean McCammond preseason.
Oh yeah, Dino he doesn't remember us going to the Bon Jovi concert from that hit. I don't think. We had a great time.
Bon who? He had it was kind of, well, that's, that was 2, 3? That was 2. Yeah, that was 2. Question 3, boys. What are you looking forward to most this week, CFL Week 10? For me, it's got to be tonight, Rough Riders and Red Blacks. I know what it'll be for probably, I mean, you'll be slinging dogs again. Let's
slinging dogs.
Sunday, 5 o'clock.
What a great weekend of sports in Edmonton. We got the Riverhawks Saturday, I believe, and then Sunday after a big win, Trey Ford, the BC Lions coming in, kind of limping a little bit.
They've gotten them at the best time.
Yeah,
this is quite. I mean, Vernon Adams Jr. might be back sooner than later, I guess. But Jake Dolagala, who I don't think anybody's picking him up off the waiver wire this week in our 4-man league. Not as good as Vernon Adams Jr. I'd wager. So, I mean, let's show up. We all wanted Trey Ford. I mean, some of you more vocal than others. I get it. But Tube said today, the billboard's up. They got their win. They went to hell. They went to the place where, a quarterback making his first start of the season against that defense, you're not supposed to come out that successful. He did. The running game looked good. A few injuries here or there, but don't let that deflate things. At 1-7 right now, as the Elks are, they are just right now, again, 2 games back with a game in hand on Winnipeg. And you can climb. I mean, certainly with what Trey brings to the field and the excitement, and I think you heard Javon Leake speak yesterday in a media veil, it's just loosened the room a bit. So they're playing fun and fancy-free. Who cares? People have counted them out. They certainly haven't, given last week's performance, and I expect more of that at home. So let's show up. Let's ball out for the team. Again, great weather day, 26 for a high, mainly sunny. I mean, the tailgate will be rocking again. YouTube Trev Zachtkin will be down there with the EST Cruiser. Show up a couple hours early, make a day out of it, cure that Riverhawks hangover, and keep the weekend going. But, I'm very bullish on the Elks this week against a Jake Dolagala-led BC Lions. So get down there and support the team. As you were kind of alluding to earlier in the day, it is an Edmonton team. Why don't they, who cares? Give
like
them
I
support.
said, it's winter is coming, and the days of us being able to congregate outside with some nice weather are they're ending soon.
You'll want it in November.
And so get out, have some fun, get the best way to get vitamin D, and cheer on these Elks. Hopefully get 2 in the win column.
Are you ready? Scalding hot takes. We're going to do hot takes. It's the in-season tournament, of course. Potholder here. Yeah.
Hey, all right.
Yes.
I was a little late on that one.
No, whatever. As long as we change it, we change it. What are we at here? 110. Yeah, okay. Well, let's shoot for 200 here by the end of the show. If you are watching on YouTube this morning, hit the like, hit the sub. Let's get going. Pump EST out into the algorithm. But the potholder up for grabs. It'll be me, VYTT, and Scalding Hot Takes, once again, as always, brought to you by the fine folks at Claiborne Services. You can take your career to the next level with Claiborne Services, hiring positions including journeyman bricklayers, apprentices, any level. You can take advantage of their outstanding mentorship program. You can work with peace of mind. They are an industry leader in safety. www.claiborneservices.com, or call Jeff, 780-910-6728. You looking for work? They'll put you to work today, and you can have that peace of mind knowing as well that you'll be taken care of. ClaiborneServices.com. Okay, so Judge is here, potholder on the line. Trev, you got your takes?
Yeah.
You sound like you're doing kind of easy trivia with that.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm the potholder, so you'll have hammer, Trev. I'll lead things off. And
I guess you didn't know what Dusty and I had to do last week.
What?
This was EST first.
What happened? The other potholders in the kitchen.
We didn't play for that because we didn't want to run into the same situation where, say, if you had, three potholders, and then you're gone, and then it's like, oh, what do we do again? What do we need? So we didn't go with anything physical. What happens if we're ever in the situation where I'm gone, you're gone, or Dusty's gone, and whoever's gone has both,
nothing up for grabs.
We're doing the hot takes pick, I think is what it's called. So next week, Dusty won last week, of course. He won, and next week he will pick a hot take from yours, and he'll replace it with one of his hot takes, and he'll also look at my hot takes. And he'll take one of mine and replace it. So it's guaranteed to win. If he loses next week, that's just embarrassing. And
So he gets to pick one of our. So we should almost load up with.
I was thinking of loading up with all Dusty takes. Like Dusty's.
And he has to pick one, right?
Yeah.
It's not like he can,
Yeah.
But
Dusty's
he
so
can't
cool.
deny it. He has to pick it.
He has to pick it.
This is interesting.
So that's what happened. Yeah. Just to keep you in the loop there. But sorry, you start.
I'll start. You'll hammer it. Yeah.
I got the hammer.
Judge, we're ready?
Let's do this.
The Blue Jays annoy their fans
Time
so much.
now for Scalding Hot Takes.
Wait. Start again.
The Toronto Blue Jays annoy their fans so much they should just rebrand as the Magpies.
Careful, that cake's hot.
Andre DeGrasse, more like Andre DeGrosse.
That's a hot take.
Horseradish is so underrated, it's like the super bad of condiments.
Hot take alert.
Claiborne Services should hire Jamal Murray with all the bricks he threw against France.
Wow, scalding hot take.
Customer service should be a mandatory class for high school students.
The hottest of takes.
If the Great Wall of China ever needed more bricks, they could call Jamal Murray.
Careful, That takes hot.
If you can't legally obtain a driver's license, you shouldn't be competing in the Olympics.
That's a hot take.
I pray to God Dusty never calls a Lakers game.
Hot take alert.
Javon Leake is just as fast, or maybe even faster, than Matthew Iwanek.
Wow, scalding hot take.
LeBron James could fart, and Dusty would tell you it's the greatest smell ever.
The hottest of takes.
Heavy on the hardcore. Hey,
yeah.
Murray's ripping
Yeah.
Murray.
I never
Love it.
did
And you had to. You had to
basketball
go there.
before.
Well done, boys. Well done. Yeah, it's no question. YTT.
Are you serious? Oh, yes. I did something.
The potholder switching hands.
Oh,
wow. What's the scoring?
I like the Jamal Murray, the bricks.
Too good. And then incorporating the sponsor.
Yeah, that was good. The LeBron was really good. Dusty's calling a lot of games now, and yeah, it's good that actually Canada didn't get to the finals. You know, and having Dusty cheer for LeBron and that.
Yeah,
I really
that
look like
weird.
an old Rick James with this thing on. Hey, I'm just looking at myself. That's
you
weird.
look great. You could wear it backwards, frontwards, whatever.
I know.
It would look awesome.
No, good. It was good. It was good.
Well, we appreciate your time, Judge. I really thank you for swinging by and sharing us the time on retainer, of course. But that was Scalding Hot Takes. YTT for the win. He's killing it on the nasty chat. It's an avalanche, a Cascadian win.
That's very nice.
Yeah. So YTT. Why does Trev hate Canada? Rip City Step questions. Ooh,
Oh, Rip.
Yeah, we had to.
He's ripping. He's always ripping
Murray.
me.
Had to rip Murray to this.
It was too easy, Rip.
It was
Okay,
too
did you
easy,
watch
yeah.
the game?
And incorporating the sponsor again, Chef's Kiss. That's always bonus points.
Yeah, I actually didn't realize that until now that they were the presenting sponsor of Scalding Hot Takes. I knew they were. I don't know why.
You knew it. You knew it.
Oh, yeah, I knew it.
You knew it all. We'll hit a sports update. We'll be back. Dave Naylor's in the bullpen. He'll be back. Bills camp, and as well as the CFL Week 10 preview from the Nail Gun, Dave Naylor, CFL on TSN, and Bills camp. Lieutenant Eric Joaquin Gage back.
I'm back.
He's back. The judge is gone. Joaquin's back. And YouTube Trev, the pot-holding champion this morning here on the Nielson Show, EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Last night on Edmonton Sports Talk, it was the Riverhawks wrapping up the regular season with a 7-1 loss to the Night Owls. Hawks are back home. They'll host their first ever playoff game Saturday night from Remax Field. Action gets underway at 7. Jays dropping one to the Orioles last night, 7-3. That rubber match will go later today at 5:07 from Toronto. Canada capping the preliminary round at the Hlinka Gretzky with a 2-1 victory over Sweden last night to finish 3-0. Canada will now take on the 2-1 United States tomorrow night in semifinals action. Puck drops 7:30. The other semifinal tomorrow afternoon between Czechia and Sweden. Canadian women's and men's 4x100-meter relay teams and shot put star Sarah Mitten all qualifying for event finals. They'll all have a chance to compete for a podium spot. Alicia Newman last night winning Canada's first ever Olympic medal in women's pole vault, claiming bronze with a Canadian record height, 4.85 meters. Week 10 in the CFL gets underway tonight from Ottawa. Red Blacks and Rough Riders kick off 5:30. The Elks are back home looking for their second straight win. They'll host BC Sunday at 5. And week 1 of the NFL preseason getting underway tonight with a pair of games. Giants at home to the Lions while Carolina visits New England. The wait is over. Sit and Sleep is now open. Celebrate with 20,000 square feet of savings on the trendiest furniture, home decor, and mattresses. Apply for your Sit and Sleep card today to make no payment for 18 months interest-free and be entered to win your purchase up to $5,000 on furniture and home decor. This weekend as well, you also get free local white glove service on your purchase with full setup and installation. Next to Planet Fitness in South Edmonton Common is where you can find them. Sit and Sleep, now open.
The Nielson Show featuring Lieutenant Eric. Only on Edmonton Sports Talk.
Trucking along here on the Nielson Show, 8:31 You are tuned into Edmonton Sports Talk, the iHeart and TuneIn radio apps, and as well on YouTube. Want to let you know the Nielson Show each and every day, Monday to Friday, brought to you by South Fort Chevrolet. Check them out in Fort Saskatchewan today. Tell them the EST crew sent you, or online, www.southfortchev.com. Right now, you can save up to $12,000 on a new Tahoe or Suburban. You can also save up to $14,000 on Silverado 1500s and HDs. Additionally, if you choose not to take the discount, you can get 0% financing on select trucks and SUVs on approved credit. So check out the fine folks, South Fort Chev today. Daniel or Claire will take care of you. And once again, tell them EST sent you. South Fort Chevrolet in Fort Saskatchewan. 22 for a high today, mainly sunny skies. Once again, EST Hangout coming up at around 9 o'clock. Half hour left in the Nielsen Show. We'll continue our NFL previews with a bit of a slice of CFL Week 10 as well, as I do think, is he ready to go, Dave Naylor? Busy guy, always on the beat, and we appreciate his time as always, but Dave Naylor joining us from Bills camp, and I guess we'll start there with our NFL previews. We went Jacksonville today, we went Philly, we'll now go to Buffalo, and Dave, once again, thanks for your time, man. Sounds like a great atmosphere down there. What are you seeing at Bills camp? What's kind of capturing the main storylines? Of course, we know this team, winners of the past 4 AFC titles, but a lot of roster turnover. So what's the vibe right now down at Bills camp?
Yeah, what I'm seeing right now, I just watched Josh Allen hand the ball off to James Cook from a formation deep in their own territory. Now, I think there's a lot of really compelling storylines of the Bills this year, but none more than I think the receivers, because you've had such a turnover at that position. I mean, the Bills have one receiver on their roster who's ever caught a pass from Josh Allen, and that's Khalil Shakir. Now, they've got a couple of tight ends who caught a lot of passes from him, and a running back who's caught a lot of passes from him. But that's an extraordinary amount of turnover at the receiver position, for a team that's been pretty successful on offense over the last few seasons. You look at the two most prominent departures in Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis. They combined for 241 targets last year. That's about 44% of all the passes that Josh Allen threw. So there's lots of distribution to be shared among the players that are here, and look, I think there are two players on the Bills holdovers that are going to get much expanded roles this year for good reason. One of them is Khalil Shakir, who's the only receiver back from a year ago, was their leading receiver in the final 10 games last season. Not the highest targeted, but the leading receiver, had the highest catch percentage in the National Football League last season among everyone, 86.7%. So understandably, you want to expand that guy's role in the offense. And Dalton Kincaid, their second-year tight end, who missed some games due to injury last year, and yet still wound up with what was the 10th best receiving season in NFL history when it comes to total yards for a rookie receiver. So, I think those are two players, both of them Bills draft picks, second and third year players, guys who I wouldn't call it limited duty, but in, maybe limited roles compared to what we're going to see this season, they certainly showed that they're capable of taking on a lot more. Then you've got Curtis Samuel, who they brought over from Washington. And Marquez Valdez-Scantling is here from Kansas City. Chase Claypool is here, although he hasn't practiced in 11 days because of a toe injury, which is going to put him in a really tough spot. But so much of the focus has been on the receivers and just how they're going to backfill for those 44% of targets that Josh Allen threw a year ago to Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs.
Well, Dave, you mentioned the receivers and specifically Diggs, but moving on, Morse, Poyer all out as well, and some, a good spine of your team in terms of, leadership and everywhere. So who will fill those shoes specifically? Poyer on defense and such, but, outside of the receiving core and the turnover on this roster, where are you kind of focusing your gaze at in terms of replacements and new blood on the team?
Well, safety is certainly one spot, and part of that is because there's been such a there hasn't even ever been a conversation about safety for the Bills in about a decade, right? Because it was Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde. That was it. And they were both here a year ago, and they're both gone. Poyer's gone to the Miami Dolphins, and Micah Hyde has not formally announced his retirement. In fact, I believe he held a charity event here in the spring in Buffalo, in which he said that he hadn't ruled out playing, but the only team he would consider playing for is the Buffalo Bills. So I think there is, maybe a slight anticipation that right before the season starts, they may have had Micah Hyde, or certainly they have some injuries to safety, which, by the way, we'll get to that in a minute, they have had already. So, he could be one of those veteran guys who doesn't want to go through his umpteenth training camp, but you could see rejoin the roster, before or early in the season. I don't think that's out of the question. But, the safety situation, Taylor Rapp was their number 3 safety last year. He's going to be certainly one of the starters in this. And then the rest is kind of a mix of, Mike Edwards, who came from Kansas City, Cole Bishop, who they took, I believe he was their second-round pick, and Damar Hamlin, who, of course, is best known for having the cardiac arrest on the field in Kansas City a year and a half ago. Most people weren't aware of him. He was not a star player the night that happened. And yet he became not just maybe the most famous NFL player for a month, but one of the most famous people on a continent for a month. Yeah. And it's a very, very kind of strange journey. But look, Damar Hamlin was back here a year ago, and it was a story just that he was back. That was the story. This year, the story is Damar Hamlin might be starting because Mike Edwards has not practiced, I don't believe, other than the first very, very early in training camp. Cole Bishop went out, I think it's about a week ago. And both those guys are week to week. So when you watch practice here, the starting safeties are Taylor Rapp and Damar Hamlin. And look, Hamlin's started, I believe, 13 games in 2022 because that was the year that Micah Hyde got injured in about week 2 or 3. So, he played a lot. It's not like they're going to plug in a guy who's never played. Now, he's a late-round draft pick, and he didn't play a whole lot last year. And, so there's not a lot to go on, in recent vintage. But again, it's not like he's a guy who's never played before. So I think, if the Bills were playing a meaningful game this week as opposed to on September the 8th, I can say without any hesitation, your starting safeties would be Taylor Rapp and Damar Hamlin.
And Dave, we got you on. It's a 2-pronged attack today from you, and we appreciate that. Just taking a quick glance, CFL Week 10. Of course, the buzz here, Edmonton today was the play of Trey Ford down in Regina, and the running game as a whole. Your thoughts on Trey Ford? I don't think it caught any of us really by surprise, maybe against that defense and the rushing yards they put up. But your thoughts on that game, the performance from Trey, where the team is at, and heading into a home game here against a Lions offense, which will be led by Jake Dolagala. That kind of falls into the lap and some good grace here for the Elks in terms of matchup on Sunday.
Yeah, and I would think anybody who even had an optimistic view of what Trey Ford was going to be able to accomplish in that last week, it probably exceeded their expectations. Yeah, he didn't run for 1 million yards, but he threw for a ton, right? Yeah. And I think even when you anticipate what a successful game script might look like for Trey Ford, you might lean a little more on the rushing total being 50, 60, 70 yards, and it wasn't. And you might envision the passing total being more around 200. I believe he was over 250. So I think that may have defied expectations a little bit. I think going against, as you mentioned, a very good Saskatchewan defense that has been a ball hawk in their secondary and tough to run against, and facing, a team coached by Corey Mace, whose defense did a pretty good job on Trey Ford at the end of last season. Yeah. So, there are all kinds of reasons to be sort of, eyebrows raised at what he did, given, the circumstances on the road, getting down early. All those things. You just put it all together, and that wasn't what I'm trying to say is that wasn't the easiest game in the world for Trey Ford to face and to open. And when you look at what he did, and look, I think a big part of it is we saw this in Winnipeg earlier in the season, right? When Brady Oliveira wasn't getting his yards, and then all of a sudden they start Chris Streveler for a game, and Brady goes off for, I don't know what the number was, but it was significant. And the reason is, obviously, when the quarterback, like a Streveler or a Trey Ford, tucks the ball into the belly of the running back, the defense does not know which guy's going to come away with the ball, and they've got to defend multiple options on the run, and that's a lot different than having Zach Caleros back there and handing it to the running back, and the running back's getting it, unless he pulls it and throws. But if it's a run play, it's going to Brady Oliveira. The same way when McLeod Bethel Thompson was there. If it's a run play, it's going to a running back. It's not going to. He's not going to pull it and run around the end. So I think that's what we saw in both those instances. That when you have a running quarterback, you not only benefit from the rushing yards that he can give you and the option he has to take it upfield if he sees an opportunity, but just that moment of hesitation or indecision you can impose on a defense when you hand the ball to the running back because they just don't know who's getting it.
Dave, there's another interesting game that piques my interest a little bit, maybe more so just the situation. The Ottawa Red Blacks coming off their bye week, things rolling quite well for them. You have the Rough Riders providing the Elks their first win of the season. Coming off a bye week, a team maybe got a little bit more of a mean on losing to the Elks. What do you see in this game and how that's someone's going to be moved to the 6-win column?
Well, I think the matchup is interesting on both sides because of what they did in the most recent games. And, you mentioned Saskatchewan losing at home, to a winless team. Yeah, they're going to be a little bit ornery. And certainly the number of points they gave up. I think that team is defensive head coach. I think early in the season, you would say their strength was on defense, and then, that happened. So, and then on the other side, you have Ottawa that I really think that last game against Calgary was a statement game for Ottawa. Overall, that's the best they've looked in a long, long time. You go back to the last few years. And so, and again, I thought both that Calgary-Ottawa game sort of set up for one of those two teams to make a statement, and it was definitively Ottawa. And I'll tell you, the guy that I'm intrigued with on Ottawa is Khalil Pimpleton. And the splash plays, the returns. But here's the thing that really stands out. I mean, this is a guy who was on the practice roster for the first 4 weeks of the season or so, hadn't played at all since preseason, and in the 3 games for which he's played, he's led them in targets. Which that's highly unusual for a guy who's never played to step into the lineup and be the most targeted receiver over a 3-game span, especially on a team that has a pretty deep and experienced receiving core with lots of complementary skills. And all of a sudden you pop this guy in, and Drew Brown's looking for him more than he's looking for anybody else. So, I think he's a guy who, he lit up Detroit Lions training camp 2 years ago. And at 5'7", 175 pounds, it's awfully tough to make it in the National Football League with those measurables. But he is an absolute dream for the Canadian League, and he's shown why in his early going with Ottawa. So I'm sure Saskatchewan spent a lot of time thinking about how they're going to try and take away or at least limit him, given what they've seen, how much he's been featured in their offense in the short time he's been on the roster, on the active roster.
Well, that's where Week 10 will kick off tonight in the CFL, Dave, and that's where we'll end this conversation. I want to thank you for your time, man. It sounds like a great atmosphere down there, so we'll let you get back to enjoying it and doing a little bit of work as well, obviously. Thanks again, Dave, and we'll talk soon.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me. See ya.
You have it, Dave Naylor. Of course, the football guy in this nation, mainly Bills camp and such, but also giving his thoughts on CFL Week 10. Obviously, kicking off tonight, Red Blacks and Riders from Ottawa, and it's funny that one of those two teams will have 6 wins by the end of tonight, which is kind of weird how it happens. Riders ravaged with injury right now. Jameer Thurman getting 6-gamed as well, linebacker there, so we'll see what happens. It's then you got a Calgary Stampeders Toronto Argonauts game from the T-Dot, both 4-4. Calgary can't win on the road. Perfect at home, so we'll see what happens there. Of course, Ticats Alouettes. Davis Alexander continues to cook. They'll be at home, probably feeling pretty good Saturday evening. And then the big one Sunday. I mean, I'm the fact that you win in Regina against that team and you put up all the numbers, especially, and I know Trey Ford didn't have statistically the rushing numbers, but in terms of his scrambling and avoiding pressure and giving the offense time to find open spots and everything, I mean, there was one play where he ran about 40 to 50 yards, gained about 5, but the defense knew the dimensions of the field growing up and playing the Canadian game and knowing the space and room he has to which work. It's a beautiful thing. So, I'm feeling pretty bullish on them playing against a Jake Dolegala-led Lions team, which, let's be honest, he ain't no Vernon Adams Jr. Serviceable guy, sure, maybe, but this will be a different Lions team offensively with VAJ out. So I think the momentum's great, and it's ripe. And, again, great weather for a game Sunday. 26, Trey Ford starting. You're coming off a win. What's your excuse? Why can't you go now?
Yeah, no.
I'd love to hear it.
I'll be serving meat too. Like it's
maybe a bit down on the tailgate. You'll go for another chops if you can.
Yeah, I'll just I'll get there get everything all set up and then venture out.
It's really nice to see you last time.
Yeah,
a pleasant surprise of all the other people that are down there and everything. But we thank Dave for his time as well. And Bills camp. I mean, this is speaking as a Bills supporter, a cowering supporter.
What a atmosphere! Like the music playing, the blow horns. Like it sounded like a concert.
Man, NFL camp combines though, like it never really sleeps.
No,
fans are always wanting a piece. Like most of these camps are like sold out.
How do you think the Bills are going to do this year?
I was going to ask Dave on his expectations for the AFC East, but you look at the Division II and your neighbors.
Yeah.
Miami's right there champing at the bit, and if they stay healthy, they're a formidable foe. I'm kind of curious as to what New England's doing, but I think they're still in more of an evolutionary process. Yeah. The Jets, too, that's a wild card. I mean, how does that all... Does Aaron Rodgers... I mean, obviously his health was a big thing last year. That's side card of the whole season.
Yeah.
But it's off-the-field stuff. Does the noise get too loud? It's New York. It's all that media. So, I mean, I still expect them to be in there and fighting. I just do wonder with all of these changes, both offense and defense, how that all shakes out. Maybe for the best, maybe for the worst.
It's a very interesting division, right? Yeah. With the personalities just in that division alone are quite fascinating.
The markets...
Me. Yeah,
the snowy Buffalo. You're going into hot Miami. The whole bit. Like it's very fun. It's a fun division. But I mean, 4 AFC titles in a row for the Bills. I don't. Miami's been right there. So maybe a little continuity from them will get them over the line this time. But who knows? 780-218-9999 is the number to text. About 10 minutes and change left in the show. We'll hit the wrap here for William Huff as well. But if you have anything clever to say, now's the time to swoop in for that text of the day. I still think Library Pants got it here from a 6 o'clock hour text. But we were talking about like Edmonton legends and that sort of thing earlier. Talking a lot of meat, Philly cheesesteaks, pork roast sandwiches. So if you got any of meat related or anything about that, you can text it. Wheels says LTE is still pissed the Elks beat the Riders. He won't admit it. I know you're trying here, Wheels, but it doesn't really. I live here now. I cover the Elks. It's great. I'm a CFL fan. I support the Riders. It's where I'm from. But I also like it was a good game. I love a good contested game. Am I disappointed that the Riders? Sure. But the Elks needed this, and for the CFL and for everybody to kind of have success as a whole. Yeah, the Riders will be fine right now. I think they're in a good spot with Mace and everything. This organization needs to turn it around, and I think that started, last Saturday in Regina.
You're like me with Formula One. I don't really have a team for. I would say I lean more towards Lewis Hamilton. Not
like if you went to an event, you'd probably get donned in some gear. Like
you'd
feel it, and you'd feel it. That's me, Riders. I am right. I have to be, have to be the fan.
There's a in my wife's cart, Amazon cart. There's a real sweet McLaren hoodie that's placed in there. She hasn't pulled the trigger on it yet, but it's. I think I'd look good in that. But no, I always for some reason I move towards the people that are close to immortality. I think Lewis Hamilton. It's not out of the realm of possibilities that he comes back and challenges for another championship this year. With the way Mercedes is going, you see the way. So I'm a fan of that. I prefer a very great race instead of the leader of the pack just pulling away, and you just want to see a good match.
Yeah, and I think with Elks football too this season, we have to remember that they're not a bad team.
No.
The record is 0-7. I get that. And that's when you're stacked up against a team that has a winning record, you're an underdog. I get all that terminology. But again, you're watching the games, you're looking at them, they've been close a lot, and they do have talent. There are certain areas of the team where you could say you can be better. Let's be honest. And that happens when you are 0-7, but they have been in games. And it took a change here. It took a change at quarterback to kind of induct that. Says LTE probably more annoyed with the I want to trade for victory tour than the Riders losing. And not annoyed at that either. We have fun with Matty. I mean, it's a great, but he took a stance and he was proven right. And I think a lot of other people out there were proven right as well. Chris Jones made a decision. He made a call. He was on thin ice. He needed something immediately. He went out and made a choice and a decision. It ended up being the wrong one, and he had the answer right here. And for whatever reason, again, we can say he doesn't like him. I don't know what happened. Maybe Trey Ford sneezed once, or Chris Jones sneezed and say bless you. Whatever it was, he didn't use him. Should have been using him. We saw last year when he came in and what happened. The results were there. So he made a choice, a decision, an expensive one at that, to bring in MBT. Ultimately wasn't the right one.
Does that affect does he come back to the CFL in some capacity, do you think?
MBT?
Chris Jones.
I could certainly. He's got a great defensive mind. But I mean, again, it's managing a team, coaching a team, running.
It's too many hats.
But again, if you're offered the job, I take it. It's one of those things where it's like you're better off a fireman, but you get the chance to be a fire chief.
Yeah.
Well, what are your skills and your services better at? Now I know that's a promotion you can say, but it's just like how are you better serving? And I think you plop Chris Jones up in a booth, get him calling a defense. Doesn't have to talk to any media. Doesn't have to do anything.
Yeah.
And there you go, and you're cooking. But when you have to kind of balance the fan base and the media and all this, and when you're already a guy that has a burr in his saddle,
he's leathery.
Recipe.
Yeah.
Oh, very much so. So he made his choices. He made the bed. He's ultimately lying in it now, somewhere down in South Pittsburgh, Tennessee.
I'm always wondering about those coaches because I mean, this is just a coach's topic, but Woody, the whole thing, like he never got hired. I'm one, and he kind of stuck to his guns with the way he was implementing some of the players. And I mean, football and hockey are completely different, but there's something to a coach kind of dying on his sword. But I wonder in retrospect if they look back and go, shoot, I should have done that,
And then maybe, I mean, there's not so much of a, shall we say, stink to you after? I mean, you exit somewhere and it's like, why did he go? Well, he made this choice or he stuck to his guns too much or something. Admirable as it is, when somebody's looking to hire you for a next job, they see that.
Yeah.
Why? Like,
hindsight's always 20/20 with those things
yeah.
too, right? And you unfortunately, you don't learn from your success. You learn from your failures. Hopefully, but I just don't see a lot of
like Jay
growth.
You would expect maybe him to come back in an assistant capacity, no? At this point, like if he wasn't, no, because you'd think that if it was a head coaching, I mean, there have been a few vacancies that have been filled. Well, if not now, when? Maybe
look no further than some of the coaching staff of the Oilers. They have been head coaches and came back.
And that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying to detriment
Craig
Jay.
McTavish, his last stint in the NHL was an assistant capacity with St. Louis, right? There could be. I mean, when we get Jay in the hangout at one point, we can ask him all these questions. But
and that gut
I would love, because one of the most enjoyable times of my player coach interactions was on a flight in Russia, going from place to place with Tom
More
Rennie.
Russian flight stories.
Oh, it was. We were all in the back, and Tom Rennie had a real rough night out with the Russian Federation, and he was giving us the tea, loose lips, whole thing. But his coaching experience and what he learned and stuff, and how he would change. And I think because he went back, he started coaching the Rangers after that again. And I talked to him when he came back here too, and I was just he's saying, yeah, I made some mistakes first time out that I probably wouldn't do before. A little bit different for him because he was coming when he first coached the Canucks. He was coming from a junior capacity, right? And
yeah, so it's a different level.
It's a different jump. But I'm sure that Woody's learned tons in his time. I mean, he's one of the winningest coaches in Edmonton Oilers history, right? So
with the roster, I know the number. I just think is skewed somewhat with what you have here, and I do wonder too, like just with and you can say that it was the defensive structure maybe, and Manson involved in that too. But you mentioned earlier the sticking with your guns stuff, and I do wonder how that plays into teams looking at a guy and saying, well, and. But when it comes back to Chris Jones as well, I don't think that you can expect him in a GM role or probably even a head coach role. I don't think there's enough rope in that to get back there. Defensive coordinator, sure, but I think that's probably as high as he might fly in terms of getting more chances or a second chance.
Yeah, I don't know why. And I mean, maybe he's holding out for that because that's what he wants. I completely understand it, but.
How long do you wait though in terms of that? Like, and we're talking Jay Woodcroft back.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, both. I think you can put them both in the same boat. But you probably want to come back and
because you keep watching these trains go by and you don't step on one. Well, then sooner or later you get kind of lost in the right.
The station shuts down,
and you're out of a stop. No, I wonder. We saw him on the Instagram reel. He was doing that gut biome stuff, and I can't get over this. And then it was there for like a few days, and then it was gone. And then that was it.
I know.
And the Blue Jackets, hiring people and everybody and do their jobs, and everybody's getting hired, but no Jay Woodcroft. So kind of weird.
Is his contract completely done now?
Well, that's a question.
That's the other two.
But I don't mind the old double dip. Hey,
no.
Leafs, Keefe there.
Keefe, yeah,
he's living large.
Yeah, he was on a deserted island in his exit meetings, and then
I think he took another job this morning somewhere as well. He's getting paid by everybody, but
that'll interest me. There's so many things, and I know we'll go around the NHL, but that changes. I want to see how he does with the younger guys again. right? Like getting kind of recycled as a communicator with young players. That New Jersey team is fascinating.
It's fascinating, but also without the weight of expectation so much so as the market in Toronto dictates and all these.
Yeah,
all
just
that
a
crap.
little like.
Now you go to the Swamp, nobody cares. You got the
cares?
Rangers, everybody. It's you can go and do your thing. And again, as you mentioned, that I think that roster too is it's nice to look at.
Yeah,
it's
it
funny
is.
to see how high they may fly, but.
And again, taking what he's learned from that market, coaching in the NHL to now, this second time around, just there's a little bit more of a swagger from a coach.
Yeah,
when
and to your original point, too, with the second time around, learning from lessons,
Yeah.
all that stuff. Spency 5 cents, LTU would run his victory lap faster, though. We need a race to find out. And they're going back to the Ionic race. I love that.
The
Rip City
EST
Step
Olympics.
says, looking forward to YouTube Trev's Broberg victory lap this season. That'll be one. That'll blow Ionics out of the water. Hey, would you say, Trev?
I think so. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Broberg's season and the victory lap, wherever it will be recorded.
I think we'll get to Broberg expectations as well a little later on in the month, probably. I think that's the
I'm
plan.
ready.
Dusty said yes.
Yep.
Ready. Scalding Gord says Hawkins Cheesies, the LTE of snacks. I have no idea what that means. Were we talking about cheesies or something? If Stan Bowman can get hired again, I'm sure Chris Jones and or Woody will resurface at some point.
Good point.
Well, no, it is, and it's not like Jones or Woody had the stink of what Stan Bowman was possessing there. Jones and Woody, that was just for performance on the field of play. But I mean, again, it's that whole thing. If somebody offers you a job, whether or not you're qualified, if you're getting paid double or triple, I mean, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Might get fired in a month, but hey, I mean, you take it, I guess.
Yeah, you do.
8:58, once again, this is the wrap for William Huff. Want to let you know William Huff has been around for a long time in business since 1952. You know they're incredible what they do. If you want your place to look as good as ours, WilliamHuff.com is where you can go. Boys, I learned this morning that Trev's dad was a butcher. Is a butcher. He's still butchering blocking. And you may have told me before, but I forgot, but I'll remember it now. We also learned the roast pork sandwich in Philly is maybe supreme to the cheesesteak. According to Chris McPherson.
That's interesting.
I also learned that you had a beef with ISIS, which nobody had on their bingo card this morning coming in, I don't think.
No, it's bothering me right now.
Yeah. Anybody else? Any educational facts from you guys? Anything you learned on the show?
Apparently, ketchup is good on a cheesesteak.
I'm not getting
I might do it because I really like ketchup.
Yeah.
But I never would have thought of that.
What do
he
you
said
put?
it.
The only times I use ketchup is if I make a hot dog at home, which rarely happens. I'm a professional, so I need.
Well,
a
you do it when
professional-
nobody's around.
Yeah,
eh?
but I use it when I'm making my pulled pork like sauce. Like it's ketchup goes in
As an
is one of the
ingredient
ingredients
to
to
the
the molasses.
Sweet.
Yeah, chili powder, onion powder. What else is in there? Garlic powder.
Garlic powder is, I think, the king of powders. I'm just
Yeah.
going to say that right now, and I know I won't get the pot holder or the mitt. I got the mitt here, but that's okay. YouTube Trev also winning the mitt, and he gets a celebration breakfast
Wow.
here from Jason Mill, a coffee and a sandwich. The winning doesn't stop here for YTT after his successful curry dish from last
do you have
night.
a P tape with him or something?
I
air
don't know what-
conditioners, food. Like wow.
Yeah, I don't know. He's way too. This started like as soon as he started here, he just kept bringing me breakfast sandwiches.
Jesus.
And I'm like, oh, thanks. You don't have to, by the way. And he's like, nah, I have to. I'm like, I don't know if you
He's too
do.
nice, this
He's
guy.
so nice.
He's fattening you
Like
up.
he asked
Yeah.
today. He's like, coffee's anyone? All I said was a coffee. I just wanted a regular.
Yeah, I
Did you
wrote.
use a
bad.
text? I don't think I replied.
Yeah, he. What did he say? Coffees, and I wrote back just like I like my women, and he said black. I go no.
Hey!
No, it's not the
That's
black.
so
It's bitter.
Dusty will be sad to hear this, but Golden Bears football head coach Chris Morris will also be on the second hour of the EST Hangout today.
Oh.
So stay tuned for that. A successful year last year for the Golden Bears. Some exciting players, and Morris has been around the program slugging it out. And so that'll be nice. Chris Morris in the Hangout debut, second hour, I do believe, today. Of course, you saw Jason Milne. He'll be here as well, alongside Matthew Iwanek. Hangout coming up in a matter of minutes. Text of the day, we're giving it out. Library Pat, word of the mouth is that Stockholm residents are all Seahawks fans. And that goes back to your original...
Hammerby.
Hammerby. Okay,
Yeah.
and we'll replace the name, but you said all the fans have the number 12 or whatever as well, the sports teams.
So it's one of the, like, you walk in and everyone obviously wearing their jerseys. They were in the second division, and I went to go see the Derby game with them in Ayako, and half the seats are the AIK or IACO, and the other half Hammarby, but all the Hammarby are wearing jerseys, and it's number 12. And I was like, who's number 12? Like, this guy must be awesome.
No name, but
then I went to a bandy game. Like, those are the, you know what bandy is?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, you want...
Bring it to the Olympics.
My gosh, is that a sporting event?
Yarvey loved that game, didn't he?
Yeah. It's basically a soccer field with outdoor rink with guys. It's with broom ball nets. It's awesome.
We've bandied out enough topics today. Edmonton legends. I mean, we figured out where Dancing Guy is. Dancing Dan. He's out in Spruce Grove right now, so we figured that out.
Informative.
We'll sign off here, and I want to thank everybody today. Guests, especially Mark Long. Our NFL previews continued. He touched on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Chris McPherson, Eagles.com, giving us all the latest from Philly camp. I got beef for Corey the Butcher. We had some big beef today, did we not, boys? Dave Naylor, of course, from Bills camp. He also had a few thoughts on CFL Week 10. Big congratulations to YouTube Trev. He's taking home the pot holder in Scalding Hot Takes this morning. And weekly rankings of power as well, brought to you by the Ranch Golf and Country Club. I want to thank all of our sponsors as well. Southford Chevrolet. Once again, the new deal out, and this is from Claire releasing this. Get this. Save up to $12,000 on a new Tahoe or Suburban, or $14,000 on Silverado 1500s and HDs. Once again, www.southfordchev.com. Your dealer in Fort Saskatchewan. Tell him EST sent you. For YouTube Trev, the champ, Joaquin Gage in for Dustin Nielson. Appreciate your time as always. I'm Lieutenant Eric. Have a good rest of your Thursday. EST Hangout coming up next. And we'll talk to you tomorrow on a Friday show. I love you.
I love you too.